Okay, so I basically know where everybody is at with SolidWorks except for you, Hannah. Could you just like tell me if you've used SolidWorks before, like just like
I've
very
never.
basic?
I am the most beginner you've ever known. So
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. So I'd say we've got 4 people at the same level here and 4 people taking the class. So
Excellent.
it'll be very good actually. I prefer that. Okay, so I'll share my screen. There we go. Okay, cool. I assume everybody can see this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay, give me a second to like change this into presentation mode if it'll let me. Does it show to you as like a presentation? Like, is this full screen?
No.
Okay, well, this is kind of confusing because it's like there's no top bar here for me to make it full screen. It's like they just kind of robbed it from me. Okay, well, we're gonna use the smaller rectangle if that's all right. Does anybody mind? Like,
No, it's all good.
okay, there's like another thing Zoom is telling me to move. Give me 1 second. So I've got like this little box on my screen and it says, please move this, but like it won't move. Never seen this in my life.
Wait, hold up. Are you able to like touch the rest of the screen? Like, are you able to click?
Yeah.
It's fine. Just leave it, whatever. It's a little
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's literally like red text. It says, please move this window away from, and then it gets cut off and it just like it's flashing. Okay, I'll leave it. It's totally fine. As long as you guys like don't see it and it's not disrupting things. Okay, perfect. So I just started the presentation off with like a little picture. This is what we're going to be designing first. So like, I don't know if this looks daunting or super easy, but this is going to be the first thing we're making. So there is going to be some backtracking though, because I'm not just going to say, you know, go make this. You're going to probably have to know a few things before that. So you've already got the slides. Okay, so step number 1, we're going to start SolidWorks. So if you only have Remote ECF open, go find SolidWorks. It should be like bottom left, you click something and then type in SolidWorks. Let me know if that works. Or let me know if it doesn't work. Then I'll open SolidWorks and like just show you the main menu.
The 2021?
Yeah, doesn't matter. That's actually pretty good that it's 2020 on the school computers. I think they just updated it. Because that is what I am running. And it is very good.
Excited.
It's opening. I think it'll just take a while.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting. Yeah, give it a sec. In the meantime, I'm going to try to fix this.
You know what's funny? Is that my window screen is only allowed to be so big. Like I can't make it bigger than it is.
It's so like I can give you a tip for how to do that, but it takes some backtracking. So like, okay,
I got it. Okay.
Is it manageable? We can change this later. Okay.
Definitely.
I'd say once we get to a later step and I actually have you drawing stuff, we can maybe go back and change that. All you have to do is go back to Remote ECF. I'll just like show it on my screen. I don't know, whatever the link is. It's like I start here and then I click this. So this is probably what you were looking at before. Is this right?
We're only able to see your SolidWorks screen.
Oh my goodness, this is difficult. It's all right. I got this. Here you go. Now you should be able to see this. Was this the screen you were looking at before? Okay. So before you like click this, you can select what size screen you want. So like if you want a full screen, you can click this. And then once you go down here, it'll like open it up to start in full screen. But otherwise, you cannot go back and change it. And like I learned that the hard way too. Like the first presentation I made was completely on Remote ECF with a tiny window. So
No, it's okay. It's manageable. I'm able to see everything. Like it's fine.
Okay, perfect. Does everybody have it open then? Or is there anybody that doesn't have SolidWorks open?
I had it open and then I think I closed it. So
That's totally fine. Just open it right back up. It's a learning experience. No worries.
You can like start if you want.
No, it's okay. It's only like
Okay.
4 of us.
It took like minutes to open though. Oh man.
Yeah, it is a little slow, especially on the remote. It's kind of heavy. I'm just gonna pull my blinds down.
Everybody here at school? Aidan, how about you? Hannah, are you at school?
Like on campus or like?
As in like are you on PY versus school? What class? What program? What year?
Oh.
Good questions.
I'm in first year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. And what first program are you in?
I'm in NSci. Yeah.
Very nice.
That's how I feel about it too. No, yeah. What about you guys though? I don't know. I just saw that link and I was like, hey, I want to learn. Okay, it's open now, but yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Go.
Okay, I'm in second year mech. I did NSci in first semester of first year with Tim. And then we did track 1 together.
And then yeah, when did it switch?
Yeah, second semester was a nice track 1 semester with Tim. And then Tim's doing indie now, and then I'm doing mech.
Mm.
So there are options.
I'm in NSci, Biomed 2TO +1 plus PY. So I'm on PY right now. I've been at school for 4 years, and I've been in NSci for 3.
Amazing. That's very impressive.
That's me in 4 years, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's where I hope to get in 4 years.
Yeah. No, do you like Biomed?
Yeah. We'll see though.
Yeah. I hope you do. It's amazing. So I hope you pick it. And Gwen, you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, so I'm also an NSci 2TO plus PY, so I'm in my final year, and I'm also biomed. So yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic. That's very
Excellent.
impressive. Okay, wow, some great role models. Thank you. Okay, so can everybody see my SolidWorks screen?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So like my screen should look just about identical to yours. When you first open it up, mine didn't do it this time, but do you have like a big rectangle in the center? Is there like a big rectangle? Some of you might have the big rectangle, some of you might not. You don't? Perfect. Okay, that's even better. Okay, well, sometimes like when you open up SolidWorks, it'll just give you a prompt to do things a little bit easier, where it'll like have a rectangle which says, let me see if I have it in the slides real quick. Yeah, I actually do. So if you guys go back to the slides, let me see if I can can I just share it in general? No, I think can you see my slides right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, I think I'm doing it better now. Okay, so like on the right side of the screen here, can you see like my cursor? Maybe I can like do like a cool cursor. Is that like an option on here?
That I don't know, but we can see your cursor.
Okay, as long as you can see the cursor. So like sometimes when you open up SolidWorks, this box on the right will open up. You'll see this box again in a second, but it's just like a fast menu for creating different things. So I'll explain what those different things are in a second. So you can see my SolidWorks now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So it's following me. Excellent. Okay, so there's a few ways to start a new file in SolidWorks. So like you've got a very blank screen, so you don't click on anything on the blank screen. So you go to the top left. So there's a few different icons here. I don't know what this does. I guess that's to open. These don't really do stuff. So you go to the white sheet, and if you hover, it'll say new. And so if you just click on it, it'll bring you to that menu I was just talking about before. You could also like press a little arrow beside it and then hit new, and it brings you to the same screen. Or you can go to the very top, you can go file, and then new, and it brings you the exact same screen. It's like one common theme in SolidWorks is there's a lot of ways to do the exact same thing. And so most times you will get to the exact same result. So here are the three main, I guess things, like things isn't a great word, but these are the three main things you do in SolidWorks. So like either you create a part, you create an assembly, or you create a drawing. So a part is like the fundamental building block of an assembly. It's like the majority of things you make are going to be parts. So like if I was going to model like a pencil, that would just be a part. But if I was to model, I don't know, I didn't really come prepared with things to show. If I was to model like this compass, I think that's what these are called, compasses. Because there's multiple parts that go in it, there's like screws and stuff, and it's not just one piece, like there's stuff that's kind of going on, then you make them all individually as parts and then put them together in an assembly. And so when you're going to actually, produce what you've just created and like get it manufactured, that's when you do a drawing. So drawing will show like your fundamental views and like your dimensions so that you can like manufacture whatever you've designed. So we're going to start with parts. They're going to work our way to assemblies. And then I don't think we're going to touch drawings this class, but we'll probably touch them next class. And so I don't think they're as important for you with where you're at. So I'll just go through them quickly, but just like kind of show you like how you go about them and like what there is there. So I'm going to start by just opening up a part here. So I think you can just double click this, but I know that that's going to bring me to the next screen. So I'm just going to click OK. So like whatever you do, as long as the part is selected, you should be good. So like if I hit OK, it'll take me there. Let's see if double click works. Double click works too. So then you should be taken to the screen. It might take a second to load because you're on remote. And so like in general, SolidWorks is going to want like a really good computer. So I'm very impressed. Like back when I started using SolidWorks, like I've used SolidWorks for like a lot of years. I don't know how many, maybe 8, like a lot of years. And so way back when I first started using SolidWorks, there was no way this computer could ever run it. Like I don't even have like I have an integrated graphics card. Like there's nothing special going on here. And so I'm very grateful that I can, but there's a lot of stuff in SolidWorks I can't do. So I hope everybody's at the screen. If not, just like let your stuff load and just watch me. Let's just see where the presentation's at. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to go through some of the menus and just kind of give you an idea of like what we're even looking at here. It's like this here, this big space, like this is actually important now instead of like when we were at the main menu before. So this is where you're going to be creating your model and building it up. And they give you a lot of like very useful tools that are inherently built in when you start a model. So there's like an origin, which is placed at the very center. And so the origin is very important. So you can kind of like orient your model in 3D space. And so you also have these planes, and the intersection of all three of these planes is going to be your origin. And so these planes are super useful because when you start a model, you design based off these planes. And so like this doesn't mean much yet, but like once we actually start doing stuff, it'll start to make sense. And so right at the intersection of those is the origin. And so whenever I start a model, I first pick a plane that I want to use to start things from. So I'm just going to show you some like random stuff to start before we get started on our actual design, just so you can kind of get a feel for SolidWorks. I'll go through a bunch of the menus. It's not going to exactly follow the slides, but the slides will be really good later on if you want to go back and you're kind of lost. So say I wanted to just like sketch a cylinder, like I'm making, let's say a pencil, right? But it's a very cylindrical pencil. And so I want my pencil to be like standing up straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the top plane. I'm going to hide these planes. Like they don't normally stay showing. I like click the special button. But this is the top plane, right? And so like I know that my cylinder consists of a circle at the very base. And so I'm going to draw the base of my cylinder. So I'll take a step back and show you exactly what I did actually. Okay, so like what you do next, once you've decided on what plane you're going to use, is I go over to the plane, I right click on it, and I click sketch with the left click. And so what this does is it brings you to like the two-dimensional building block of everything you design in SolidWorks. So in SolidWorks, you're going to be using sketching a lot. So the premise of sketching is you draw something in 2D. I'll like go back and show you like what this is. You draw something in 2D. You use the features tools to then bring it to 3D. So like I could just make a cylinder like that. So super simple, but that's the premise. Like I just want you to know that. And so like moving forward from here, I could then like, instead of drawing on a plane, I could go onto this very top face, start a sketch, and like say, I know this isn't like what a pencil looks like, but say like we wanted to cut out a rectangle. It's like you would just draw this completely 2D, starts on this face, and then we'd cut it away. So like we'd go to features and we'd cut. It's like, don't worry if you're completely lost. Like I'm just kind of showing you the premise of SolidWorks. I will show you exactly what you're doing and like the thought process after. It's like, just like that, you take something 2D to 3D. So everything in SolidWorks starts in 2D and then is brought into 3D. And so you have to give it the information to be able to do such a thing. Okay, so this is like a really nifty tool, but like I'll go back and show this again later. But when I hover over this line at the very bottom, okay, like actually I'll take a step back. On the left side of your screen, this is a lot of very important information. So this is like your steps that you've taken as you've gone forward. So like the very first thing is we drew that sketch and then we made material. So anytime you make material in SolidWorks, it's like, okay, when you make material in a very simple way, it'll be called like a boss extrude. Like all the names will be related to what you've done. And so I extruded a cut after that, and that was a cut extrude. But say like, I want to start again for square one. Like I did something bad and I don't want to fix it. I just want to go back. So like you could start a new part. Otherwise, there's this really cool tool. It's like I don't know what you call it. It's like a back in time line. And so you grab the line, and like if I go and pull it up one, everything below it just disappears. So like we just got rid of the cut. If I go one more, we're back to where we started. And so like for the sake of just like cleaning up my screen, if my computer is like good enough to do this, I will just delete these. But I don't think it is. Okay, we'll just leave it. Okay, so now I'm actually going to go through and like show you all the different tools you can do. So now we're completely back at square one. And so if you remember, the first step was to select a plane, and then we followed that up by starting a sketch on that plane. So in order to do it, like if you guys just want to do this on your screen super quickly, just to make sure you know what icon to click and like how to start a sketch, because this is pretty important. Like watch me once and then go to your screen. Yeah, what's up, Khadija?
I don't see the top plane on my screen. Like I clicked the top plane button on the side, but it doesn't show up.
It doesn't stay permanently like this. Okay, yeah. So here, so that is actually totally normal. Okay. So what I did is like, if you hover over it like this, does it look like this? Like do you get like an outline?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so nothing's wrong. I just had intentionally changed it to permanently show, but like don't worry about those kind of settings. I just was doing that for show. So like if you go and hover over it, you see that orange rectangle.
Oh.
If you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like if you hover over it, you don't see this.
Oh, now I do. Okay.
Okay, I think it's just a little slow. Don't worry. So like hover over it, right click on your mouse, and like this menu should stay open. Don't like actually you can move your mouse. So at the very top left, like if you look at my screen, you should get this icon.
Yeah. The
sketch icon. It's like if you hover over it, it should say sketch.
Yeah.
If you get that, you're doing the right thing. Left click on that, and it'll open up a sketch. And so like some ways to confirm that has occurred is at the very top, you'll see that you're in the sketch features, and it'll show you all the sketch tools that you can use. And like also here, it'll say exit sketch. Otherwise, it would say like sketch instead of exit sketch. Mm-hmm. An easier way to check is like if you go to the right side of your screen, these two icons weren't there before, and they're now there. What these are is this red X means you're discarding your sketch, where this blue arrow, and okay, so like discard sketch just means like whatever you just did is complete garbage. You never want to see it again. But like if you want to save it and like exit out, and I'll show you some reasons why you'd want to do that, then you press like the blue arrow. So like red means like whatever you just created needs to be dead. Blue just means you're going back. Like it's totally cool. Okay, perfect. So like I just want to make sure you can do that. we'll get back to this later. Just follow me for now, and like things will start to get clearer. And then like logistically, I expect there to be like small steps missed along the way. It's like, don't be hesitant to once we actually start creating stuff, it's like ask questions like, where do I find this? How do I do this? Okay. So I'll open up a sketch on the top plane again. So the step for that is you just hover over the top plane, right click, and then left click on the sketch icon here. So like I can show you another way to do that. This is not the way I do stuff. Like if you go to sketch, you get that click sketch. It'll be like, tell me where you want to sketch. Cause like, I don't know. This is more complicated. So like, don't be afraid if you're not following, but I'm just showing it because you could do lots of different things in different ways. It's like at the top here, what this menu is it shows you, if you like click the drop down area, it shows you everything that you've done before. So like even those things that we did and then like reverted, suppressed, that's what it's technically called, they're here. But so are our planes. Like I'm doing the exact same thing we did before, just like in the slower people way. It's like now I've opened a sketch on the top plane, but I'm gonna go back and we're just gonna do it the way that I do stuff, okay? So we're gonna right click on top plane, click sketch, and we're gonna open a sketch. So as soon as we do that, all of these sketch tools will open up. And so I'm gonna go through these sketch tools. You're going to want to revisit these, and we are going to be revisiting these as we go forward and we actually make some parts. But I just want to show you very quickly like what is even here, so you can at least consider this in the future if we don't use a couple of these tools, because realistically there are some shapes that I don't even know why you'd ever use them until you have to use them. So the most important and fundamental of the tools that you're going to be using all the time, and I'm going to show you some really cool shortcuts that most people don't know, is the line tool. So if you click on the line tool, don't click on it, just follow me. So if I click on the line tool, I can now start drawing lines. I know, pretty crazy. And so everything you design in SolidWorks is based off of the reference geometry that you have, because I could technically make my whole model like out here in space, and like it just wouldn't make sense because everything is like based off the center, and I'm just like drawing silly stuff in the middle of nowhere, and it just doesn't make sense. So like I highly encourage you, whenever you're designing, to like somehow link something to the origin. It's like, say I was drawing a circle. Like when I drew that circle before, I started at the origin because that's where I wanted the center. And I'll show you like what the kind of click techniques are and stuff like that. Like it's a little bit of a handful to start, but like we'll get there. That's why we've got lots of hours. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the line tool. Line tool, super useful. And so like this is a completely new feature in 2020, which is actually going to help you a ton. This menu that opens up like right below the line tools, like when I go and hover over anything now, it shows you exactly what the tool does, which is really awesome. Because like before, what you would do, like say this is the circle tool. It's like you saw before, first you click the center, and then after you click the center, you define the radius by like dragging out and then clicking again. Before, in order to know that that was the sequence of events that's occurring, you'd have to look very closely at the icon up here. Ignore the big animation, which saves you time now. And you'd look at the dots that are on that circle, because that would tell you what you're clicking and in what order. Very complicated. So now like you actually have a lifesaver tool. If that isn't showing up, you could look at the dots, or you could just like draw the stuff and delete it, because I find like sometimes I even do that to just like save some time. Okay, so back to the line tool. So like you could use lines to draw a rectangle, or you could use the rectangle tool. You could use lines to draw like, I don't know, something ridiculous. But like realistically, stuff you're going to be designing is not always just going to be a rectangle or like something simple. And so the way the line tool works is like, okay, so like I'm not always holding down my finger here when I click stuff. So like I start off, I click once, I like let go, and it starts drawing a line, okay? So like let's say I want this line to like just be like a horizontal line. If I click once again, it'll let me keep drawing. So this is intentional, so you can do stuff really quickly. And so like if I click once, it'll let me keep drawing. But if I want to stop drawing, I double click, and it just completely got rid of what I was about to draw. And so as a result, you don't have to just keep clicking and then hitting escape. You can just do everything with your mouse. It's like if you click once, it'll place the line. If you click twice, it'll just delete what you were about to draw. So like if I double click again, like look, if I was to single click here, it just would draw this line. But if I double click, there's no line drawn, and I can like go back to drawing lines again, which is the crazy part. I believe if I was to hit escape while drawing this, it would take me out of the line tool, and I can't just like continue drawing lines from a different place. It's like, say for some reason you were drawing this and you're like, okay, I actually want to start drawing my next line from down here for whatever reason. Well, now you can do that. You can double click. You can go back to drawing here, single click, and like things are connected up. I don't know exactly what situation you're going to be doing this, but it comes in handy big time. So there's another shortcut that like very few people know that you can do while using the line tool. And this like took 8 years to learn. So if you start drawing your line, like we're going to draw the line here. So instead of drawing this next line, there's like 2 ways to do this once again. So like the first way, maybe more people know. The second way, less people know. Still very few people know this. And so if I'm drawing my line, then I go back to where the line started and come out again, it turns into an arc. And so it's like a super cool little trick to like draw stuff quickly. So I'm just gonna hit escape here because I don't do it that way. I do it the really cool way. So we're gonna go back. I'm gonna draw a line. It's gonna go up. I'm gonna just like click it. So now instead of going back, if I just press the A key for arc, it draws an arc. I know, pretty cool. And so once again, this like follows the line rules before. As soon as I click, I'm back to drawing lines. Like I don't have to do anything special again. It's like if I want another arc for whatever reason, I draw another arc.
Making like a house. I thought you were making like a nice window. Now it's into like a blob.
Well, maybe this is a nice window. You just have a strange house. Okay, so like just keep that in mind. Like you may never use that, but I use it a lot. So like if you want to get fast, like one of the big things with SolidWorks is there are certification exams and all of them are timed. And so if you want to be able to finish this stuff in time, you're going to want like some secret tricks to like speed things up. Or like if you are a coworker someday and for some reason everybody's using SolidWorks, you can like be the coolest coworker because you're like, hey, you know, you could just like press the A key and they'll be pretty impressed because like nobody's going to know that. Okay, so like because we're doing lines, I'll like show you one more thing with lines because like lines are pretty cool. It's like if I draw a line, I'm actually just gonna, okay, I messed that up. So I draw a line, I'm just gonna escape here. What you could do is you can click on this line. And so whenever your line is like blue like this, or like anytime that you draw something and it's blue like this, that means that it's like contributing meaningfully to like what you're designing. It's like part of your design. And it's like, I realize that doesn't really mean anything, but it's going to mean something. So if I wanted to use this just for like dimensioning, like say, okay, I'll draw something complicated to make it make sense. So like say I've got 2 vertical lines. Okay, that line didn't end up being vertical because my computer's a little slow. Say I've got 2 vertical lines. And say I've got a distance that goes between them. I'll show you how to do this distancing stuff after. This is in millimeters. We don't like millimeters, but we're going to use it for now. Let's go 100. Boom. Okay, so now these are 100 millimeters apart. And whatever that converts you to centimeters, like 10 centimeters. Okay, so like for some reason, I want these lines. Okay, I'm going to dimension the lines too. It's like say this line. That's pathetic. Okay, let's say that it's like 75. Okay, it's like this is like what people who don't like to use math do. Okay, so your lines in SolidWorks stay blue until they're fully defined. It's like we've got all kinds of problems here. Like they're completely moving. If I was to like move forward here, like somebody could just like hop in here and just like move stuff around and just like get away with it, and I wouldn't ever be able to put it back. It's like we like to dimension everything in SolidWorks. So what we could possibly do here is what I want to do is I want the center of this line to be horizontal to the origin and also be lined up with the center of this line. I know that's a lot of things. So one way that we could do this is, okay, like in the line tool, if you press the little drop down menu, there are 2 more types of lines. I've never used the midpoint line in my life, so I doubt you will either. And there's center line. We're going to do it a different way though. I'm just telling you that that's there. So what I'm going to do is, you know what? I'm going to show you more stuff in one. So I'm just going to draw a horizontal line out here. It's like, I realize it's very distant, but we're going to make it useful. So if you click on it once, you get this big menu that opens up on the side. So a big part of SolidWorks is like applying relations. So I'll explain this in a second. But for now, I'm going to go to options and click for construction. So notice how the line now becomes a dotted line, or like a patterned line. It's no longer like a solid line like this. So what that means, for construction just means you're using it like for measurements and for relations. So now I'm going to click on this point at the very end. I'm going to hold down the control button. Anytime you hold down the control button in SolidWorks, it means you're clicking multiple things. I'm then going to hover over this line. So like when you get close to the center of a line, you may not be able to see this on my screen, but there's a very tiny yellow circle which opens up at the very center. So if I click on that yellow circle, that didn't work. I accidentally clicked on the line. Sorry. Let's see. Computer's a little slow. Okay. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. So like, if you can't click the yellow dot, we're going to do it this way. So if you click this point, I hold control and I click this line, there's going to be some potential relations that I could set. So if I set this coincident relationship, all that's going to happen is this point is going to be on this line. That's all that means. So like, I'm just going to set it just to show you, and I can delete this after. So like, it doesn't have to necessarily be on the line, but I can't move it. Okay, we didn't define the rest of it, but basically it is always going to be vertical of this line. I can't like put it out of sync. It is always going to be in relation to this line, but it's not at a specific point on this line. And I want it at the center of this line. So I'm just going to click on this relationship. So every time you apply a relation, it's going to create like this little green box, and the icon has something to do with the relation. So you're going to notice that we already have some placed, even though I didn't do anything to place them, nothing special. So this horizontal line, crazy enough, is a horizontal relation. And so what that means is this line will always be horizontal. There's like no way I could possibly like tilt it or swing it around. I have said you will always be horizontal. And so that applied automatically. I'll like show you while I'm drawing this line again, because like I could just draw stuff really quick. So like if I am drawing this line, if I draw it like this, the horizontal relation will not automatically be applied. But if I bring it to horizontal, it'll snap into place for a second. You might not be able to see it, but you will definitely feel it when you're using it. And it'll also have this like little yellow rectangle. Do you see the yellow rectangle right below my pencil? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that shows a horizontal line. That means automatically we're getting a horizontal relation here.
Can you stop that for like if you don't want it to be automatically done?
So if you don't want it automatically done, just don't draw it horizontally. That is all I could say. It's like, say you don't want it to be horizontal. It is always best, like if you don't know what your line is going to be doing, if you don't know it's 100% going to be horizontal, just to draw it without the relationship by like, if I draw it up here, there's no yellow rectangle. If I draw it down here, there's no yellow rectangle. It's only when I like specify or like positioning the line specifically around that area where it would be horizontal that it applies that relation.
Okay.
But say you draw it and like, you're like, damn, like that's a great line, but it's got the horizontal relation. Now you can just click on the green rectangle here and just click the delete button on your keyboard. And so now I can do this kind of stuff again. Let's say like you made a mistake and you didn't actually want to get rid of that. I'm gonna click on it again. I'm gonna set it horizontal.
Oh.
It's like I realize it seems very distant from us actually designing a keychain, but I promise we will design the keychain. These are just like really important things that could be taught later, but I'd rather like have you thinking about them now and they will make more sense later. Okay, so like don't like expect to be like masters of relations. So I'm gonna click this point, I'm gonna hold control, I'm gonna click this line. So I can now apply, instead of a coincident relation, which like said, hey, this point is going to be like along this line. Like if we were doing like silly linear algebra stuff, like along this line, like it doesn't have to be exactly like within the dimension of this line, it's just like along this line. Okay, but if I click midpoint, it's like, hey, this point, middle of this line now. So I click it and boom, no matter what, it is going to be at the middle of this line. You see, like this line moves with it now. And so this is all in an effort for us to dimension these two lines from way before, okay? So we're gonna do it again. So I want this line at the middle of both lines because it'll make sense later. I just do. So I'm gonna click the point, hold control, and click this line. So once again, I'm going to go midpoint, and boom. So now the middle of both these lines are now lined up because I used a construction line. So this construction line will not contribute to our design at all. So like when I go to the next step, SolidWorks won't even like consider this as a line. It just knows that it's being used for only dimensions. It's not like if I was to draw a rectangle with only construction lines, and then I was like, hey, turn this into 3D, it won't even like consider that as a potential option. Like these are not used for like anything but dimensioning and like relationships. So as I mentioned before, like the goal of every sketch that you do is like to fully dimension stuff, but not over dimension it. And so we're about to fully dimension these two lines, and you're gonna notice like right now, take note that these are all blue. Like every line here is blue. But once I click this line, I click the origin, I'm going to use the midpoint relationship one more time. So what this is going to do, it's gonna say, hey, this construction line here, take the middle of it, and it's gonna be stuck to the origin. So I'm gonna click midpoint, boom. And so now these lines are all black because no matter where I click on them, I can't drag them or reposition them freehand. They are fully defined. All the dimensions are given to say like where it needs to be in this 2D space. And so you're always going to want to do that and not take any shortcuts, because like the mark of somebody who does not know how to use SolidWorks is blue lines. So what we're going to do is we're just going to like, I'm going to show you that this construction line doesn't get used when you're actually like doing important stuff. So we're going to make whatever shape this is. I think they call this a trapezoid in like engineering and like other applications. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, they do.
Okay, impressive. So as soon as I drew those lines, they got like coincident relationships automatically applied because I was like, hey, I want this dot on this dot. Okay, basically everything's fully defined. We got an excellent trapezoid. There's no need for any more dimensions. And to go to features, extruded boss/base. And so now like we've got our arrow. It's like really lazy people who are like, hey, like I could just guess dimensions. They'll like drag it. I'm a really lazy person, but I don't guess dimensions. So our other options here is like, I'm going to show you like some more of these features actually in action. But like for now, all you have to really care about is like right here is the dimension for how much you want to extrude it. We're going to say 500, whatever that converts to. It's like we get a long trapezoid, right? If I want to like change it to 300, if I hit enter, it'll just show me what it looks like without finalizing it. I'll show you like what the other crazy parts are here later. There's like other options which don't make sense for our current application, so I can't really show them to you. Like for example, through all just means like, okay, like it's only showing so much, but it's technically infinite, and we don't want that because like I don't even know how SolidWorks should do that. It would probably just give me an error. And there's all these other options like up to vertex, up to surface. Like say, okay, actually this doesn't matter. I'll just show you later. Otherwise you'll be very confused and I'll feel bad. Okay, so we're going back to blind. I'm just gonna hit the check mark, and boom, we've got like this trapezoid that we worked so hard to make. So this is like the building block. It's like we could then go and be like, hey, I want something else on the trapezoid. We could like click one of the faces of the trapezoid and like start sketching again. So like if I click on the face, just like to select it, when I left click, this is for very fast people. I don't expect you to be a very fast person. So you can notice like there is a slight menu that is popping up, but it's not like very defined. That's because I have to bring my mouse over to it. Like, look at this, the color changes, like transparency changes. It's like, if I actually want to use it, I go towards it and I can click sketch right from there. And that's just like right off of the left click. So it saves you a click. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for some people it is. So if I left click and like move away because like we're normal people and go back and I right click, we're gonna get like this big menu that pops up, and like I can go anywhere on the screen. It's not leaving me. And then we can go over to the sketch icon again. Like if you find yourself kind of like hovering through some stuff, that's totally fine. Don't click edit sketch because that's just going to take you back a step. Make sure it's just sketch. And so it's always going to be the same icon. You'll get familiar with it in time. So like now a sketch is opened up on this face. Okay, so like here's another really useful trick that like took some time to figure out, but like I'd never want to go without it. So if you go over to this new sketch that we just started, which is right here. So like anytime you're doing something, it'll also show up on this left side here. So like even if we take note that bar that we were dragging before that like gives me the do not disturb sign, everything below it, except for our sketch, this is just the way sketches are, ignore that. But like these two things from before that we designed way back, they're grayed out and they're not contributing. But the one thing that is contributing is above the line and showing. But this sketch is just like, it's just a work in progress. So like, it doesn't really matter where it is. It hasn't done anything meaningful to our actual model. So it could just hang out down here. So if you right click on the sketch, it's like anytime I'm drawing something in 2D, I don't want to like be looking at it like this and be like, hey, I want my circle over here. Like this is just confusing. Like we're drawing in 2D and we're not even looking directly at it. Like you're a sick person if you choose to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the sketch. We're going to right click. We're going to go normal to. Beautiful. It's like we are looking at it straight on, even though it looks extremely horrible and confusing. But this is straight on, I promise. It's like now if we draw a circle, it's not slanted. And so like now we're normal people. So I just wanted to show that. I will always be doing that. I will always be bringing stuff normal too. And I will like point you to like noting that. So there are going to be some like general settings. Like I'm noticing there's like some really funky stuff going on in SolidWorks right now. And that's just like the default setting. So we're going to go and change some settings in a little bit. So I hope that's all right. Yeah, okay. Another really useful trick is I'll like remind you of this later so that you can actually try it while you have something on your screen. If you hold down Control and you press a number, so like if I hold Control and I press 1, it'll show me a specific face. If I press 2, I don't know what face it shows, by the way. Like I haven't memorized this because like you could do this with like 7 numbers. If I go 2, 3, 4, eventually most of the time it'll show you what you want to be looking at some point. You just kind of have to go through all of them. And like Control 7 is like your fancy view. I think it's like your isometric view. It's like, wow, that looks really good. It seems you can also go Control 8. Don't know what that does, but I'm giving you the option. I'm also going to like explain some like basic controls in SolidWorks real quick because I've been moving stuff and like you're going to get in here and you'll be like, how does this man look around? So like in order to look around, you actually use your scroll wheel as a button. So like this is why it's important to have a mouse, because if you were using your touchpad, I don't know how you'd ever SolidWorks. So like I'm going to click my scroll wheel, and when I click it and I hold it down, it lets me do whatever this motion is called. We're going to call it look around. It's like I can look around while I hold down and like I move it. And so you also use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out. If I push the scroll wheel forward, we zoom out. If I like pull the scroll wheel towards me, I zoom in. There are some more advanced controls that nobody uses except for me. So you can click the arrow keys and stuff will rotate. You can also hold Control and click the arrow keys and stuff will move. So I will show you one time where this will be useful, but I think this will be like next week. I just learned something new in SolidWorks. If you hold down Shift and you press the arrow keys, it'll do whatever this is. If you hold up, we've got something new. If you hold down Alt, you can't press the up or down keys, but you can press the side keys. It'll do this. Don't know what this positioning is called, but it does it. So just know that it's there. If for some reason you're like, hey, I really need a very specific view because I'm going to make a gorgeous picture of my model, but like I'm very close to the way I want it to look, but not quite there. So when you turn to the Control button, you're like, okay, maybe not the Control button. We turn to the Alt button. We're like, that's the view, right? Now we can get our perfect picture of our model, okay? So let's see where we're at in the presentation. If I missed anything interesting, I really don't think I did. I mean, we'll go back because you're going to be very confused once we start modeling, which is very good. It means we're learning, or maybe it doesn't. Yeah, we drew lines. Okay. So I think the way I'm going to do this, just because like it's difficult to watch the screen and like model stuff at the same time when you're like limited in screen size. Like I know Tim has a screen that has a curve in it, so like maybe he can do it. But, like I don't think anybody else can because like I just have a flat screen. So I will do the first couple steps of this model, and then I will let you do the first couple steps of the model. and I will support you in that process. Okay. I see Safe has joined us. I don't know when Safe joined us, but I am glad that we have somebody. Safe, when did you join us? Was there anything interesting happening? Just so I can like make sure to like say things specifically to like help catch you up.
Yeah, hey Aidan. So I just joined a couple minutes ago. So it was
Perfect.
mostly when you were still on that like rectangular prism, and
We were there for a
showing
while.
us the scrolling buttons, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, just been there for the past couple minutes. Yeah, I'll try my best. I was in another meeting, so
Hey,
a bit
no
late,
worries.
but thanks for hosting.
Okay, I appreciate you coming, and I will make sure that you get caught up. So like the stuff we did before, it's like very specific, but you got here just in time for our first model. So you will be able to learn everything while doing the first model. Just make sure to ask questions so that you can like keep up. Okay, so I am going to be going. Okay, perfect. So I am going to be going between my SolidWorks and the slides like semi-frequently because I don't know the dimensions off by heart, and I hope that's all right. But I am going to show you a couple settings that I didn't show you yet. And okay, so Safe, if you haven't yet, open up like the remote ECF. Like, and if you're having problems, like let us know and we can help you out in a second. And so once you do the remote ECF, you can then open SolidWorks. And so I want you to open SolidWorks just so you can like follow along and like design some stuff, if that's all right. And just like, if you have no clue how to do that, like let us know.
Yeah, sounds good. My camera's not that great. But yeah, I've opened up SolidWorks, so just getting things organized there. I've opened up the ECF too.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, exciting. So I've appropriately labeled this title Drawing Lines. So I'm going to open up SolidWorks. It's like you guys don't have to follow along yet. Just like watch my screen very intently, and we'll go through this process together. Okay, so I'm just going to actually discard this. I know we worked very hard on it, but it was kind of garbage. So we're gonna go File, New. I assume that like you may already have this open. Safe, you probably don't have this open. It's like either you can open the file right now, or you can open it later. There's like only so many buttons you can click, so I can guarantee you'll eventually hit something which like makes a new part. So I'm gonna click New. Once again, we're brought to the three fundamentals of SolidWorks. So either you're designing a part, an assembly which uses a lot of parts, or a drawing which like is for manufacturing stuff. So it's just like a piece of paper, kind of lame. So we're gonna start with a part. So I just double clicked on that, by the way. You can also hit the OK. Okay, so I believe we start on the top plane for this one here. I'm not even gonna read my text, but I probably say it somewhere. So we're gonna start at the top plane anyway. So I'm gonna left click on the top plane, and like this is the fast menu once again. Like if I pull away, it kind of disappears. So once again, for very speedy people, or I'm gonna left click and then right click. I'm gonna start the sketch. Okay. So the very first thing you're gonna do when you start this up is just gonna be to start the sketch. So let's see what lines I drew. Okay, I drew 3 lines. So we're gonna start by drawing 3 lines. So I don't want any relations to really be applied. I'll like do all the crazy dimensions later. So I'm not gonna like put it like close to the origin because you can see there's like a white rectangle that pops up with a vertical line. So what that's trying to do is like if I draw this line here, SolidWorks is like, hey, this guy wants this to be vertical to the origin. And so, okay, maybe it didn't do it that time, but it was thinking about it. I can guarantee you that. So like the safest way to design stuff that you're just going to dimension later is like draw it away from the origin, and then we're going to bring it to the origin after, because you don't want to just like leave it out here in random space. It's beautiful. That's like exactly what we were trying to do. Let me just like take a look at the next step. Some dimensions. Okay. So everything that I did in this PowerPoint uses inches because like I personally believe that inches just sound cooler than millimeters. So in order to change that, you might want to do this like immediately after I show you how to do it, just so you don't forget. So you go to the bottom right of your screen once your part's open. So here it says mmgs, so like that's millimeter gram second. If you click on it, it'll show you all the different like document units that you could easily access. You could also make like a custom document unit, like if you're like in Britain or something crazy, and like they use some like really fancy unit you've never heard of, like a quart, I don't know. So I'm gonna just click on IPS here because this is like inch, pound, second. I'm cool with pounds, I'm cool with inches, and I'm cool with seconds. So I'm just gonna like click on that. So you're actually gonna notice that my lines turn gray, and that's like something we haven't discussed. All that means is in doing this, it forces you to leave the sketch. So, like usually you want to do this at the very beginning, but like I always forget to do it right away. And I think it kind of helps because you can kind of see like what's up. So it brought me outside of the sketch. And so like as a result, it's like, hey, what's wrong with my lines here? You know, like I can't do anything. I can't like draw. I literally can't do anything. So you go back over to our menu here on the side, which like tells us sequentially everything that we've been doing. You right click on the sketch. And this time, instead of creating a sketch, you just click edit sketch. So we're gonna be right back where we were before. Beautiful blue lines, relations, everything that we could possibly ask for. So I believe there's going to be an arc added to this. So I'm going to actually add the arc now. We can use our fancy arc tool again. So as you can see, I click the line tool. I press the A button. Boom, an arc. Beautiful. If like for some reason down the road we completely forget that there was like an A button or like all these super cool secrets, like go to the very top here. There is specifically an arc tool, but the arc tool is kind of ugly because there's a few different kind of arcs you can draw. There's the center point arc. Some people may choose to use this, but like look at like how strange that is. Like what did I have to click there? Like I click the center and then I click like where it starts and now I like draw like some weird arc. I'm not capable of that. There's also a tangent arc, which is actually this kind of arc here. It's like you just like very friendly arc. And there's also a 3-point arc. This one is semi-friendly, but like kind of ruined it. Okay, it's very unfriendly. This is not what I was hoping for. But like, hey, if that's what you're going for, it's there. But we're gonna stick to pressing the A key because we're like super scholars. Okay, so now I'm going to just apply a couple relations because like there's some problems going on here. And so I'm gonna dimension some stuff too. I'm just gonna go back to the slides, kind of see what's up. So as you can see, like in this picture here, with these 3 lines, the very first line I drew is connected directly to the origin here. So I want everybody to make sure that they do this when they're using SolidWorks. So I'm gonna go back to my model. And so because I didn't do it right away, like when, I know, painful deleting stuff. So like what I could have done is I could have started on the origin and been like, hey, I know that point has to be there. It's like, why not just like knock that out right away and just start drawing? It's like, I realized my computer's slow. If it wasn't slow, I could have done that much faster. Okay, so like now I don't have to reposition anything, but like if you're even more of an intellectual, you're going to not use anything. You're gonna be like, hey, like I've got my shape. I can do the rest by my own skills. Okay, so we know that this point needs to be on the origin. So I'm gonna click it once, hold Control, click the origin, and we're gonna just click coincident. So when it's a point and a point, the coincident just says, hey, these points are gonna be in the exact same place. So now like, as you can see, there's some blue lines, some black lines. We want everything to be black. And so like, there's some crazy stuff that's going on here and we don't like it. So there's a few things we can do to kind of like fix this thing up. So I'll start by doing the dimensions and then we're gonna apply some relations because both are really important. So like we want 1 inch here and 3 inch here. So I'm gonna click Smart Dimensions. This is the tool I was using earlier to like dimension our crazy lines that we had. So the Smart Dimension tool is like our best friend because it's actually smart. Like there's a reason it's like not called dumb dimension, which is pretty great and very important. So I'm gonna click this line down here. It's gonna be like, hey, it's 5 inches right now. When you click, it's gonna be like 5.00290, complete garbage. We don't want that. I think the number was 3. So I'm gonna click 3 and I'm gonna hit enter. Let's say I was completely wrong and like it was actually like 3.2. Okay, I clicked 2.79. Well, I could double click on it again and hit enter and it'll just adjust it. Say like you've got another change you want to make. We're gonna bring that back to 3. Okay. It's like I've got some really cool stuff I want to teach later. So like I hope we can get to it because like by the end of today, you might be able to even say that you know how to use SolidWorks. So I just click this dimension here or this line, dragged out the dimension. And I'm just gonna click 1, boom, whatever this is, right? Kind of horrible. And so we want these two lines to be the exact same length. So I could click this and just like type 3 for like, how impressive would that be? Not impressive. So we're gonna like use the relations that we talked about a little bit before. You're welcome to do this either way. I'm just showing it so that you know that like this is how this stuff works. Because the more I show the relations to you, the more this will make sense. So like I'm gonna click this dot here. And that's just where the line connects to the arc. I'm gonna click the origin. I'm going to apply a vertical relation. So it's gonna force these two things to be completely vertical. So the origin is not going to move. Only the other part will. Boom.
We have a question.
I love questions.
How do I turn it into inches?
Okay, no problem. So you're gonna go to the bottom right of your screen.
Yeah.
It should say MMGS down here.
Yeah.
Click on that, and then click IPS.
Okay, got it. Gotcha.
And so, did you draw something before you did that?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, look back at my screen real quick.
Yeah.
So like, I'm gonna switch it back to millimeters, just like go through the same experience you are.
Yeah.
So you see how like all my dimensions disappeared, completely gray. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna switch it back to inches, just like I just is showing like what has occurred. So you've been taken out of your sketch. So now you can't edit that sketch because it's like SolidWorks thinks you're trying to work on something else altogether. So you're gonna go back to your sketch, you're gonna right click it, and you're gonna go edit sketch.
Okay.
Let me know if that works.
Right clicked it.
Okay.
And I see make reference sketch. I see comment, parent child, configure feature, delete. I don't see edit.
Can I get you to share your screen? Is that reasonable?
It's gonna be embarrassing.
So that's all right. That's all right. We're here to be embarrassed together.
Yes, let's do it. Let me show you.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop my sharing.
Hold up, Gwen. You have to make me. So you have to let me do it.
Sorry, I thought I did. One participant can share their time. All participants can share.
Oh, now I can. Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
There we go. That's me. It looked gray, but now it doesn't anymore.
Okay. Okay. Don't click anything. Okay. That's fine. Don't worry. Click it again. Go back to inches.
Yes.
Okay. So go over to the sketch again on the left side.
Yeah.
Right click that.
Yeah.
Very top left, like of that menu that just popped up. That one right there. Left click that.
Okay, got you.
No worries. Okay. So we're gonna fix your model because it looks absolutely atrocious.
Yes. There.
Okay. I hope that's all right that I called it absolutely atrocious.
Yes,
So this will be a good learning experience for everybody. Just hit the check mark under line properties at the left.
Underline properties.
There we go. Okay, beautiful. Sorry, it's like I wish you could see my mouse too. Okay, so now you're gonna go to Smart Dimension, which is at the top left.
There.
Yep, perfect. So click that once. Now you're gonna go down to your model again. Okay, yes, you're all right. Back. No, yep, yes, here. You're gonna go down to the bottom line, where the bottom line is. Okay. Click once. Drag down. Okay, now this is what I feared would occur. If you drag down, does anything happen? Okay, no. Okay, it's because you accidentally exited Smart Dimension. Not your fault. Go hit that green check mark again. We're back at line properties. Okay. Go to sketch. Okay, unclick Smart Dimension for a second. Just like click it twice. Like once, twice. One more time. Click it one more time. Beautiful. Okay, you're gonna go back over to your line. Don't click anything. Okay, now you can click. Okay, move to your right a little bit.
My right. There.
There. Okay.
There.
Okay, no. Okay, yes. As soon as it turns orange, just click once with your left click. Yeah, beautiful. We've got a dimension. Now go down a little bit. It's like move your just so like it's okay. Perfect. Left click one more time. So now you can type in your dimension. So that's 3. So just type in 3, and you can just hit enter. It knows it's in inches. Beautiful. You're almost there. So we're going to do this. Smart Dimension is still open, so you don't have to click it again. You're going to go to the line to the left.
Line to the left. This one.
That one. Perfect. Click it. Drag to the left. So you're very close to 1, but you're not at 1. So click 1 or type 1. Okay, now hit enter. Okay. So the one thing we're missing is we're not on the origin. Yeah. There might also be other stuff, but we'll figure it out in a second. So you're going to go to the point on the bottom where the line meets the arc. So at the bottom right of your model, click that once. Hold control now. Keep holding control and go left click the origin. Yep. Oh, Sparks Bench is still open. My bad. Just hit escape. We're gonna do this again. Hit escape one more time. One more time. Sorry. Takes a lot. Okay, beautiful. That's all you want. Okay, so now you're gonna do it again. So like before, Smart Dimension was thinking you wanted to dimension this. We don't. We're just applying a relation. So like left click that, hold control, and left click the origin. So now go over to the left where it says add relations. And click coincident. Beautiful. Fully defined, perfect model, MVP. I'm glad that worked out, and I hope that helped everybody else. So I'm gonna give everybody like, say 5 minutes. I don't know if you need more time, that's totally fine. It's like, DJ, you can just take a break. Everybody else, like if you haven't done this, I just want you to catch up. So like do this, and then just ask me questions if you're completely stuck.
So I think I did it.
Okay.
But
I also think so. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I thought you were done. Keep talking.
No, I'm
Each wanna
first
share
done.
your screen.
My
Do you
sentence
each
was, I
wanna-
think I'm done, but maybe not.
If you each want to share your screen and show Aidan.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Do you want to go first, Hannah?
Sure. No pressure. Okay.
Oh.
You see it? I
Mhm.
think it's right.
Oh yeah.
My thing looks really big because like I don't know, the top part's really big, but it seems to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, first of all, yes, this looks great. Second of all, I'm also very confused because you have a tolerance. So like if you go to the very left, there's this plus minus.
Yeah.
I have no clue how you did that. So like,
I don't know either.
It's not doing anything bad.
Okay.
But like,
Interesting.
there was definitely something clicked along the way. Like I could show you how to like get rid of it, but it doesn't matter because it's a plus minus 0. Nothing is getting changed. You're totally fine. We're just gonna leave it as is instead of confusing you. So I hope that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, that looks great. That's exactly what we were going for.
Okay. So.
Okay, Gwyneth, I think you're next.
Let me share screen quickly. Is that working?
Yep, that looks perfect.
Cool.
Okay, excellent. Safe, were you able to do that part? If not, you've got time to do it now and I'll help you out.
Yeah, so I opened it up.
Okay.
Let me see if I can share it. I was wondering if there were ways to kind of like rotate this screen without kind of like having a mouse.
Yes, without having a mouse?
Yeah, like without having a mouse.
Okay, let me try to figure it out myself. Because I do have a touchpad. Okay, so there are ways, but they're not as accessible as like just like holding down your scroll wheel and looking around. Because like I can't figure this out on my touchpad. So like, let me think. Okay, that is totally fine, Safe. We will overcome this together.
That looks like
Appreciate it.
Okay, so like I think what's gonna end up happening, Safe, is we're gonna have to get a little creative here. Okay, so this is where you're at, right? Okay, so like you probably want to face this dead on, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
I can at least get you to do that for now. So like hit the check mark at the top left. Okay, so you're gonna go down to sketch. It's like straight down from where you are right now. It says sketch 1. Right click on that. And then not that one. Yes, the icon that is like a blue rectangle. Left click that. Okay, we're gonna try it again. I think it just like ignored. There we go. That's exactly what you want to click. Beautiful. Okay, so like we're just gonna try to get creative with some workarounds today, and maybe you can somehow borrow a mouse for the next class because it will end up becoming very difficult if that's possible and reasonable. But we can definitely get through today without it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, because someone else is using our mouse, so I'm stuck with trackpad, I guess, for today. But
that
yeah,
is
thanks
totally
for the
fine.
help, though.
Yeah, no worries. I'll help you through the rest of the stuff because we're gonna have to get a little creative. But that normal 2 thing that you just did, you can do for every sketch that we're doing today. It's just gonna be like some other stuff you're gonna have to get creative, like try using the arrow keys, like to look around stuff. Like that's really gonna be the main thing. And so like, it's doable. It's doable. It'll just be a little slower, and it'll be all right. It's like don't stress it.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so you were very close on your model. I'll just give you like another minute. If everybody just wants to take like a couple minute break, I think that's totally reasonable. Because like, let's take a break until 2:25. Like if you want to go get some water or something, because like that's totally what I'm about to do. Or like if you want to like, I don't know, just the next 4 minutes are yours. So I'll be back.
It's back almost.
So exciting.
Yes.
Okay. Just hit the check mark at the left. I just kind of want to see where everything's at. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I think I see what the problem is. Like, I think you even saw what the problem is. So yes, we definitely need a relation, and that it'll be fully defined. So you're going to, yes, you can do this with a touchpad. So you're going to left click on the top point of your arc. Yep, that one there. Okay, now you're going to hold down Control. And while holding down Control, you're going to have to, it might be a little complicated with the touchpad, but you're going to do it. You're going to have to go down to the bottom point that's directly below where you are, like where the origin is, which is the thing with the red arrows. And while still holding Control, left click that. So now both those points are selected. Don't click anything else. You can let go of Control. Go to the left side of your screen. And you're going to click vertical. Perfect. And you're done.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, Aidan.
Not a worry. Good stuff, Safe. Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just to share just like another thing as well too. So
go ahead.
Just like exploring, I found like you can, I think like do manual panning as well with trackpad. So if you right click on the screen, it shows up like zoom, pan, rotate, and then I can click like pan.
Okay, that's actually very good.
So just thought that might be helpful if anyone else ends up in the same situation.
Okay, that's good to know. I've never explored to that point, so I'm glad you were able to figure that out. So like if you do reach something that you can't like do with just the arrow keys, by all means, I definitely encourage you to like go in there and like click rotate or pan or whatever. Okay.
Wait, zoom, pan, rotate. That's what I see. Okay, yeah. I was looking for this button at the start because I was like, I wanna be able to touch this space without making everything go bonkers.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah. So like when I normally do that stuff, I'll just like hold down the Control button and like do the arrow keys and stuff like that. Like just kind of fool around that way. But yeah, like by all means, like if that is helpful, 100% use that. Because it's definitely important that you're like looking at the part of the model that you want to look at. Okay, so I think everybody's back now. So we might as well move forward a little bit. So I say we'll probably like, depending on how long this takes, we'll like probably take like a short break after we finish this portion of the part, which is like actually creating like this section of the keychain. We have 2 sections of the keychain that I want us to create. And yeah, and then we'll take like a 5-minute break again or something like that. So I hope that's all right with everybody. Okay, Safe, would you be able to stop sharing your screen and okay, I'll share mine now. Okay. Okay, cool. So like I know what comes next, but I'm just going to check what the dimension is real quick. Okay, so actually I'm going to show you one more thing super quickly while you still have SolidWorks open that I didn't bring up because I wanted SolidWorks to be open for it. So at the very top right of your screen, I don't know if this is something they've changed in SolidWorks 2020 or if I already changed this myself. But at the very top, like without typing anything, like where I'm hovering right now, does it say search commands?
Yeah.
No way. That's actually genius. So like what SolidWorks used to do, and I used to have to teach this every single time, is it would say search SolidWorks help by default. And so I've never used this in my life. Like nobody uses this. And so what you'd have to do, this is like a pro tip. So I'm impressed that they changed it, is you'd go here and you'd click commands. So anytime I'm teaching you something and like, you're like, I can't find that because there's a ton of stuff in SolidWorks that, or you've got like an idea for like something that might exist in SolidWorks, you type it in here. So like, it's like, maybe I got to like split something. And then like, look, hey, there's actually stuff named split, but like, I have no clue where I'd ever find split here. So like if I'm doing something and you can't find it in the menus here, I'll show you where it is in the menus anyway. But like, if you can't find it in the menus, you just type it in here and it'll show you exactly like what you're trying to find. So like here, if I wanted to find extrude, instead of like going into the features and just clicking this right in front of me, I could type extruded boss/base, which is going to be our next step. I'm going to actually take a step back. Okay. So like when you have a sketch open and you go to do like extruded boss/base, it's going to know that you are extruding what you just drew. So if I go to features, extruded boss/base, by default, it'll try to extrude this. But like what you saw happen before is I was outside of my sketch. So as a result, SolidWorks, I'm like, hey, SolidWorks, I want to do an extruded boss/base, but it's like, what do you want to do it with? So that's why I get this screen. Like there's nothing special happening here. There's no like preview. So I believe I can just click it. I can. It's like you could possibly just click your sketch, or if we're like really struggling because we're like doing like a really intellectual part, you open up this little menu here that's like closed here. This shows you all the features and like your sketches, your planes and everything. And you just would go all the way down to sketch 1 and we're back at the same screen for extruding. So let's see what the dimensions are for this extrude. Okay, so we are going to extrude 0.25 inches. I just am trying to see if, okay. This is what we shall do. Okay, so like, I'm gonna show you like another way you could do this, but like do it the exact way I did it because there's a step that comes up later on that is going to be like important that you're doing stuff exactly the way that I'm doing it, but I'm going to show you a way that could maybe make stuff easier in the future. But it would like force us to skip steps later, which like I don't want to skip, but it would be better if you were an engineer in skipping these steps. Okay, so like here it says we can extrude blind. So like I think the dimension was 0.25 inches. So I'm just going to go and type that in before we do anything. So blind just means that it doesn't care about anything else that's going on. It's just going to listen to the dimension that you put in. But there's also something called mid-plane extrude, which would be really useful. So our sketch here, you can see is like it's on the bottom and then it extrudes upwards. Say we wanted to flip the direction. There is like this icon right beside where it says blind. And if I click that, it'll flip the direction. So like it doesn't really matter what direction you do it in. I just do it in the default direction because it doesn't matter. But in some situations, you'll find that you need to reverse it. And that's this icon right here. If you hover, it will say reverse direction. So there's something called a mid-plane extrude. So like we saw what happens if like we have the drawing on the bottom and we extrude up. If we have the drawing on the bottom and we extrude down. But if we have the drawing in the middle, that's what mid-plane does. So now it shifts it into the middle. And so this can be super useful for applying relations later on and like making sure that stuff is even. But we're not going to use this right now, but we will use this later. I just want to show you that it's there. It's like if like for some reason you're designing something, you're like, hey, I really don't want it just to go out this direction. I want it to go in both directions a little bit. Then this is how you do it. Okay, so I'm not going to do it mid-plane. I'm going to do it blind because that's how I did it before, just because there's a step that comes later on that it needs to be blind in order to do it. So like a lot of time with SolidWorks, you will want to think ahead, but we're not there yet. But as we move forward, you'll kind of understand why specific steps have to be taken while going through. So I'm just going to hit the check mark here, and it's going to extrude. So I want everybody to go do that. I'll give you like 2 minutes to do it. If you're having any problems, let me know. So like first step was to go and like edit your sketch. So we enter back into the sketch of what we had drawn before, and then go to features, and then click extruded boss/base.
Where's the extruded boss/base button?
Okay, so you're probably in the sketch menu here, like at the very top of your screen.
Yeah,
right beside it.
Yeah.
Okay, right beside it is features. And then the very first one in features on the left is going to be extruded boss/base.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. And when you clicked on it, did it like open up a preview of the thing looking in 3D?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And we said 1 inch?
0.25. I made sure to make things a little more complicated. Keep you on your toes.
All right. And then
just hit the check mark and you're good to go.
there's 2 places you can click the check mark, right? There's one at like the just underneath on the left side of the screen, but there's also like the 2 in the corner of the
On the right? Yeah, I never use the ones on the right because that was like something that was added a little later on. But you are more than welcome to use either.
Oh my God. It's done.
Beautiful. So yeah, it should be in beautiful 3D. And like if you hit Control and then 7, you're gonna get like this beautiful angle. It's like, hey, I created this. Okay. Is anybody still doing this? Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna move forward to the next step. Like if you are behind, it is totally fine. Because like all this stuff can be designed very quickly if you know exactly what you're doing, or it could take hours. So just follow along for this next part, even if you're still working, just so you can know how to create a hole, which is pretty important. Okay, so let's see what the sketch looks like. Okay, so now instead of sketching on a plane, we're going to sketch on what we just created. So just follow my screen and then I will show you kind of like what's up after. So I want to sketch on the very top of the part that we just created. I want to sketch on this face here. I want to draw a circle right over here, and then I want to cut right through. So that's like the goal of what we're about to do. So to start, I'm going to just like click the face that I want to sketch on. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go and find that sketch icon once again. So now I've started a sketch. So once again, like kind of like what Safe was having to do before, I don't want to sketch like while looking at it like over here. I also don't want to sketch with it kind of close like over here. I want it to be perfect. So I'm going to right click on the sketch icon down here, and like this is like called your like feature tree or something like that. We're not going to use proper names. We're just going to call it whatever I call it. So I'm just going to right click on sketch 2. I'm going to then left click on normal 2. And that's going to bring us like perfectly facing this so that we can just sketch and it's not like any weird angles, nothing like that. We're like, we've got the perfect perspective here. So I'm going to be doing that a lot. Like every time I start a sketch and like things are slightly slanted like this, I'm not manually going to go through and like be like, hey, like this is kind of close. I almost got this. You know, like maybe if I hold the control button, you know, like maybe Alt will do the trick. No, we're just going to go straight to sketch, right click, normal 2, boom. Okay. So like, sometimes you'll be given, okay, it's like, you don't have to worry about this now, but I'm just giving this to you for now in case you face this problem in the future. It's like, I go boom, normal 2. But like for some reason, you want the opposite side of what we're looking at. So like if you go and you click normal 2 again, it'll flip the model around and you'll look at the complete opposite side. Sometimes that'll be useful. I can't tell you when because I don't know. I just know I've done it before and that's why I know I can do it now. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's like in case you got to do the flipsy, that's how you do it. Okay. So now we're just going to draw a circle. So now you go to the very top of the sketch tools. Like once your sketch is open on this face that we just selected and open the sketch on, I'll go to the circle. And so this time I'm just going to put the circle like, okay. I'm going to draw the circle in the middle of nowhere. You should also draw the circle in the middle of nowhere. It's good practice. So like, hey, we've got our circle now. I'm going to go back to the slides. Boom, we've got some dimensions and we're using the center line again. So like, fantastic lesson. Sorry, I forgot the dimension already. Okay, 0.5. Boom, 0.5. Okay, so now the diameter is 0.5 of an inch.
Pause. Okay, to reiterate the smart dimension thing, you draw a thing, and then you have to click the check mark before you click smart dimension, right?
Okay, let me go all the way back, and I will go slower,
Yes. Okay.
just so I can see exactly what you mean. Okay, so I draw my circle first.
Yes, I drew it.
Okay, so once I press my left key once, it will allow me to draw more circles. It's not like I haven't escaped from the circle tool. So like I'm still trapped in the circle dimension. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna delete those just for now. I'm gonna draw my circle again.
Yeah.
And so I always have my left hand like at the ready to like press the escape key. Like that is something I hit a lot. So like here you could go and click the green check mark to exit the circle tool, or you can just hit escape. So I just hit escape there and exited it, or you can hit the green check mark. Fantastic.
Yeah, got it.
And then you go straight to smart dimension. Smart dimension is smart. So we're gonna go, and as soon as you click on the circle, it's gonna know you want the diameter. If you want like the radius and stuff, I can show you how to do that later. It's a pain. Like there are certain advanced circle techniques, but we're not going to get into those yet. So like if you have the radius, just multiply it by 2, please. So like I think you can even do math in here. It's like we wanted 0.5. Let's say like, oh, my client is giving me the radius. I don't know multiplication or my times tables. So I go times 2. 0.5.
Pause for a second. So I click smart dimension and nothing happens when I click the circle. So my smart dimension is dumb.
Did you click the line of the circle? Like the outer edge of the circle?
Oh no, okay, that's what worked. Yes, okay.
Okay. That is totally fair. Yes, so like it would be pretty cool if you could do that, but I think the reason it doesn't let you just click the inside is because you could also click the point. So like if I click the point here, I could be like, hey, like maybe there's like a dimension between these two that I want for some reason. So like it doesn't want to jump to conclusions there. So just like click the outside. Okay, so I'm gonna hit escape again just to leave smart dimension. And it's like you can see if it's toggled at the top. You can also go to the top and just like untoggle it. It's just like escape is my best friend. Like I can press escape like a dozen times here and it's not gonna pull me out of the sketch. So like if you're pressing escape a lot, you're probably going to be all right. Like you're not going to go too far back. Okay. So now I'm going to use a center line because we're going to like revisit the center lines. So like if you remember earlier on, you can either get a center line by clicking the drop down menu here, clicking center line, and then just like drawing it. So like this is where the center line is going to be. But I'm going to show you the other way to do it as well. So like if you don't remember that there's a drop down menu, which I very rarely use, I'll click on the line. I'll just draw a normal line here. And I know that I don't want this line to be part of the model. Like I don't want this line to be like, hey, cut using this line. I just want it for dimensioning. So I'm going to click on it, left click, go to options for construction, and it'll turn into the dotted line. So now that it's the dotted line, I'm going to use it for dimensioning. So like, I'll give you a second if you want to do that, but I'll also give you some more time to like catch up after. Okay, so I'm just going to click the center of my circle, the center point. I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to click this line. And so I now have the midpoint relation once again. So midpoint is going to be our friend here because once we click it, it's going to say, hey, I want the center of your circle, this point that we clicked, this point is going to be on the middle of this line. And so instead of having to know the dimensions, we can just click midpoint and set that up. Alternatively, we could like use dimensions and be like, hey, like I want this to be whatever distance it currently is from this, but like we're trying to do stuff without numbers because like numbers make stuff complicated. But if you have numbers, use numbers. And so once you do that, it should be fully defined and ready to cut. So I'll give you like 2 minutes now until like 2:45, just like to catch up. So like remember what we did before is we started by drawing on the top face. So we like right clicked, we started a sketch, we then drew a circle like off to the side, we then drew a center line, we dimensioned our circle for a diameter of 0.5, and then we put the center of our circle on the midpoint of the line.
Mm-hmm. I have a question.
Perfect.
So I got through all of the steps except for the center of the circle to the center of the center line. So I how to do that. You click the center of the circle.
Yep. Hold
and then
control.
Control.
Yep. And then click the construction line.
And then click the, it's going to turn orange before I click it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Can I click the middle of it or can I click anywhere?
Click anywhere.
Okay. And then I click
Go to,
midpoint.
yep. There we go. We're almost ready to design some advanced things. We're getting there.
I'm very slow, but it's okay.
No, it's important. It's important that you like figure the stuff out now instead of having to figure it out later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's best just to ask the questions and like be sure, because we're going to be doing these steps a lot of times over. So it's important that you know how to do them like each time well.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my model if you guys like need to see it for another second or two. But then I'm going to just like show you how to do the cut.
Okay, I got a bunch of red stuff. I don't know what happened.
I already know what happened, but yes, let's
Okay.
share your screen because like everybody's going to face this at some point.
Okay.
I need to stop
okay.
my sharing. Sorry, one sec.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
What is this?
Welcome to SolidWorks. Okay. So what has occurred here is something called over-defining. So
Okay.
you have to define stuff perfectly in SolidWorks. If you give too many dimensions that are like conflicting or unnecessary, then things start to break. So I see where things went wrong. So there are anchors. I haven't explicitly said this yet, but we never use the anchor. The anchor is what unprofessional engineers use. I'm not saying you're an unprofessional engineer.
No.
I'm saying you accidentally click the anchor.
I think so.
Okay, so the anchor tool is called the fix tool. And so it has caused a lot of problems here because it just says, hey, I have no clue what the dimensions are. I like how this looks. Force it to stay here forever. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to click on each of the anchors individually. So like left click on that one, then hit the delete button.
Okay. Oh wait.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. But we're gonna get rid of the rest of the anchors.
Okay.
Yeah, so like they didn't cause any problems, but they just don't need to be there. Perfect.
Okay.
You're set.
Thank you.
So, like, I'll show the anchor tool real quick, but like I don't like to show it because I hope that people just don't know it's there and don't rely on it.
Yeah, I think I clicked the wrong thing.
It's not your fault.
I'm clicking a lot of stuff.
I don't blame you. It's like it's in the area of the relations when we applied them, so it's totally fair that you clicked it. And like I'll admit like I've used it once. So like I don't know if I'm allowed to be teaching this class after using that once. So it's one of those kind of things. Okay. Well, I'll share my screen again. Okay, cool. Okay, I will show what has just occurred so everybody else can kind of understand. So, oops, that was already normal too. So I'm going to flip it back. I'm still in my sketch. So I'm just going to show you like basically what just happened. It's like, say I'm like, hey, really cool shape. Love where it is. Don't want it to be changed at all. It's like what I could do is be like, hey, I got no clue where this is in space. I could throw a bunch of dimensions on it until it's black. Like I want it to stay here and I don't want anybody to ever move it. It's like if I click on this line and then I go over here, this is our anchor, the evil anchor. So I click on it and it fixes it in space. I can no longer do anything with this. It's like, hey, I'm here forever. It's like I could like select all of this and click the evil anchor. And like now everything is trapped here and it's completely defined and I can't move anything. It's like we don't use the evil anchor. Okay? It's like avoid the evil anchor. If you see the anchor, get rid of it and get rid of it fast because it'll cause some problems. Okay. Fantastic. So I want you to make sure your sketch is open still. So like I'll back out for like some people. Okay, so like basically just look at the top right. If you've got these two icons, you're still in your sketch. If you don't have these two icons, I'll show you what to do. It's like I just backed out. going to go to my sketch 2. I'm going to right click. I'm just going to go edit sketch. And I'm right back in there and I've got the top 2 icons that we're looking for. So that just means you're in your sketch and it'll just make the next step a little bit easier. So now we're going to go to features and we're going to go to Extruded Cut. Okay, so like by default, it knows that we're trying to cut right through this. So like that is exactly what we want. But just like for the sake of showing you some stuff, you can click on blind, and just like before how we had options, like once again, we've got the option of mid-plane, like maybe you've drawn at the center and you got to cut up and you got to cut down a little bit. There's the option for through all, which just means like no matter how much part we've got down here, it's going through everything. You can also do it through all both directions. It'll cut through everything up and down, like as if this circle just goes forever. There's like up to next, up to, we'll use these ones later on, don't worry about these, but like if you're in a situation and like you don't know, say you've got like 2 things, like say we drew another one of these up above, but we only wanted the hole in the bottom and we didn't know, like we just don't know dimensions. You can use stuff like up to vertex or up to surface. It'll cut everything up until it hits something else and it'll stop, so you don't like cut through everything you've just designed. But we'll like use this later, so like don't worry if you just forget that. I'm just saying it so like at some point, if that seems to be something you need, you know it's here. So like open these menus and just kind of explore at some point. So I'm just going to use the through all. The blind also works because like it ended up just being like exactly what we wanted, cutting right through. But I'm going to just use through all, and it's going to cut right through this as well. Nothing has changed. You can also have it so that there's like 2 directions. I'm going to turn that off. But like say you wanted to check this box and like we wanted it to go all the way through one direction, but like only a certain distance up the other. And like we could do that, but we don't want to do that. So I'm just going to leave that unchecked. And so I'm just going to hit the check mark and it's going to cut that hole for us. So see if you can do that. I'll give you like a minute or 2 to do that. And you should get like a really nice, like kind of keychain. It's going to look really professional in a bit. Don't worry.
I like it. It looks like a door. It looks like a door. You know, one of those do not disturb signs.
Yeah, we can make one of those too. Whatever you need. This is how we do it.
For me, it reminds me of like one of those old keys, like before it's been carved or something, but I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, we could also do the carving. That's the beauty of SolidWorks. Okay, fantastic. I think everybody is caught up. If there is any problems that like need to be addressed now, let me know and we'll do it. I've got no problem with that. If
Safe,
not,
you got it too? Safe?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I'm just trying to put the circle on again. So
okay.
So just there, so I've added in that dotted line, and then so afterwards I have to click on the circle, and then I hold Control and bring it to the line. Is that it?
So you click on the center of the circle.
Yeah.
Like where that center point is. You hold Control, and then you left click your line. Just like anywhere on the line.
Okay.
Okay, then at the left side of your screen, there should be something that says midpoint. Let me know if you see that.
Oh, I've got, it says properties, 0.1, 0.2.
How about if you go a little bit lower?
Okay. It says horizontal, vertical, coincident, and fixed.
Okay, try coincident. Tell me if it places it in the center.
Oh, yeah, it does do that. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So basically what happened is you're right. You did actually click the center of that line already. So you basically just said that you want the center of your circle to be on the center of that line. So we communicated the same thing, you just did it in a slightly different way, which is totally fine.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, no worries. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions and keep yourself caught up. Because I definitely want everybody to be, able to partake in what we're designing. Okay. So let's see what our next step is. Okay. Okay, now we're adding what I've called a style cut. So we're making it fancy. So now we're going to go to, let's see, can you see the dimension of this one here? Okay. Okay. So we're going to go to the top face once again. So I'm going to click on it, then I'm going to right click. I'm going to open a sketch. Then I'm going to go normal to that sketch. So now we're looking at it once again. Okay, and so now we're going to use the rectangle tool. I realize we haven't used the rectangle tool, which is kind of crazy. Okay, so there's a few different rectangles that you can draw on SolidWorks, just like how it likes to confuse you with everything else. But there's a lot of rectangles. We only are going to use 2 rectangles. Don't ever touch the other rectangles, and I tell you, don't touch them unless for some reason you really got to use them. Okay, so there's a corner rectangle or a center rectangle. We're going to be using a corner rectangle here, but I'll show you the center rectangle. So if I go to a center rectangle, all that means is the center just means you start by clicking where the center of the rectangle is going to be, and then you drag it outwards and you click again to divide your rectangle. But in this situation here, we don't know where the center of our rectangle is supposed to be, but we do know where the corners are. So I'm going to go with the corner rectangle. I'm going to click the top, drag it down to the bottom, click again, and it's going to snap into place. And so because I clicked it on each of these lines, it's like almost fully defined. I can't move it off of these lines, like default coincident relations were applied. I can only define the width now. So these are the dimensions that we need as a result. We're going to make it this dimension here, 0.25. And so even though the size of our rectangle is fully defined, it doesn't know where it's supposed to be in space. So in order to define exactly where it's supposed to be on like this axis, I'm going to go back to Google. Okay, 2.25 inches from this line here to this line here. So boom, it should be in place. And like, if you want to just confirm, okay, it's like a great practice in SolidWorks is like just to grab your model and like what you're sketching and try to pull it. It's like, just like how like when I didn't have this dimension here. Okay, let me click this the way I want to click it, SolidWorks. Okay, so like just like before here, I saw that there's blue, so I know that there is something that can still move. It's very useful to just click on it and hold and move it so that you can actually know exactly where you need to still define stuff. Because otherwise you could be like, maybe it's the height that needs to be defined here. But no, we find out that it's like this distance. It doesn't know where it's supposed to be oriented. So like you could dimension it relative to the origin. You could dimension it relative to the circle. You could dimension it relative to the side. It just needs something to know where it's supposed to be. And so that's where that 2.25 comes in. So I'm just going to go back. We're going to put it right back in. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I'll give you like a minute or two just to do this, using the same dimensions, and then just let me know if you're having any problems.
Aidan, were you using a rectangle at the beginning?
Yes. So I went to the rectangle tool at the top. By default, it should be a corner rectangle, but it might not be. It's like if you hover over it and it says corner rectangle, that is the one we're trying to draw. If it says center rectangle, then you're going to click the little arrow beside the rectangle, and you're going to go and click corner rectangle. Let me know if you can find that.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, fantastic. And you're just going to start drawing that rectangle on the very top. And then you're going to, like on the very top line, like if you watch my screen for just 1 second, I'll just show you again. Okay, so I'm going to click the rectangle tool. I'm going to go to the very top line. I'm going to start it there because that's like where my first corner of the rectangle is. That's why it's called the corner rectangle. And the second corner of my rectangle is going to be on the bottom line. And so this saves us a lot of time because it automatically applies coincident relationships. And so as a result, like we don't have to do as much work. So see if you can do it without having to do extra work. If you do have to do extra work, just let me know and I'll help you out.
Okay.
So I'll just give you another minute to kind of get that going.
So I have a quick question. Like I think I fully defined it, but where on yours you have one of the symbols in each of the corners, I only have mine on the top left and bottom right.
Okay. Let me think. That's totally fine. That's 100% fine. It's definitely good. So like the reason that still works out is so say like here, I could even delete this one and delete this one down here. The reason it works is because we've said this guy here, this point right here, has to be on this line. And this point right here has to always be horizontal to this point. And so as a result, they will always still be on the same line. So like, I realize it's a little confusing, but you don't need all those coincident relationships for it to make sense.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Okay, safe, were you able to get it?
Yeah, so I'm just adding in the smart dimensions, the 2.25 now.
Fantastic. I'll give you like another 30 seconds or a minute. Just tell me when you're done, okay?
Cool. Okay, cool. So I think it should be good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I believe our next step is to take a cut, but I am going to open this up and we're going to take a closer look. So I did call it a style cut, which makes me think we're cutting it. So if I go over to cut here, so we want to cut it 0.1 inches deep. So once again, we're gonna want to make sure we're in the sketch. So like if you're not in the sketch and you don't have the things at the top right, I'm gonna go over to sketch 3. I'm gonna right click, go edit sketch. I'm back in my sketch. You can see your dimensions, things are black again. It shows your relationships and you've got this at the top right. So that means you're in the right place. I'm gonna go over to features and we're gonna go to extruded cut, just like we did with the hole. But this time we are not cutting all the way through. So here by default, it's gonna try to cut all the way through, and that's where dimension matters. So I'm gonna go in here and our dimension is 0.1 inches. 0.1 inches, boom. And it's going in the right direction, right? Like by default, like maybe it's going upwards for some reason. That's not going to help us. I want it going downwards. I want a blind with the specific dimension. And I'm just going to hit the check mark and we're going to get that piece cut out. Okay, so I'll give you a minute just to kind of do that real quick. You've already got the drawing. So only thing you got to do is enter the drawing, go over to extruded cut, and then put in the dimension. Let me know if you have any problems.
How do you make it? Oh my God, mine turned upside down. Okay. Okay. Tell me how you make it not pop out and make it pop in.
Okay. Okay, at the very top left, does it say cut or does it say like extruded boss/base?
Extruded boss/base.
Okay, so that's the issue. It thinks that you're trying to add material instead of cut material. So click the red X.
The red X? There is no red X anywhere. Yeah, I think I fixed it. Let me show you. Can I show you my screen?
Most definitely. Let me stop sharing.
I was trying to change my view because I couldn't see what I was doing.
Okay, we're gonna have to fix this. No worries. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so let me just try to remember. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is you've already clicked on the boss extrude.
Yeah.
Try clicking the delete button. Okay, left click. Oops. It's all right. Left click. There, that's the button right there. Delete.
Got it.
Just hit yes. And so if you'll notice, your sketch stayed. So it only got rid of the feature.
Yeah.
So go to the left to where your sketch is, bottom. Yep, right click. And go edit sketch at the top left. Now go over to features at the top left. Now go to extruded cut.
That one.
Yes.
See if okay.
And now type in 0.1. I think that was our dimension. Yes, 0.1. Okay, now just hit the check mark at the top.
Okay.
Hit it again. Yeah, there you go. Okay, fantastic. That's exactly what we wanted.
You're
okay.
So
I'm glad we were able to get it. It's looking beautiful. Does anybody else need a little bit of help? Safe, were you able to get that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, we're gonna move forward then. See, we're getting a little faster. We're getting a little more skill. This is very positive. Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, let's see what we've got to do now. I've got an idea of what we got to do now, but let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to teach you something that's a little advanced. I put this, it's like, if you remember way back when we did our very first extrude, I was like, we're not going to use mid-plane. Like, if you remember that, we're going to use blind. And so this is the reason we use blind, because I wanted to complicate our part, so we'd have to do this. If we did mid-plane, you wouldn't have to do this step. And you might understand why in a second. Okay. So we are, okay, so like when we start with our models, we have our top plane, right? Like our front plane, our top plane, and our right plane. And it's like we've been doing everything either based off of faces or based off of planes. But we've now come into a situation where what we want to do is what we just created, this little cut right here, instead of going to the opposite side and doing all the steps over again, because that just wouldn't be a good learning experience, we're going to mirror what we just created to the opposite side. We're just going to like be like, hey, SolidWorks, I don't want to draw this again. Do it for me. And it's going to do it. But there are certain things that we need, because we can't just like mirror this across without like a mirror itself. So like the mirror is going to be the plane. So we don't have a plane that goes through the center of our model. It's like if we look at the top plane, it's at the bottom. If we mirrored this across the top plane, it's going to like cut randomly in thin air out here. Completely useless. And so that's why if we did it using mid-plane, we could use the top plane later on. It's like sometimes you want to think ahead in terms of like what is going to be advantageous later on in your model. And like the more complicated your models are, the more you're going to want to be like thinking about this stuff as you like start your model off, like picking the top plane, the front plane, or the right plane. Like what is going to be most helpful? What face are you going to sketch first? Like we could have started our whole model by sketching this rectangle here and extruding it all the way out, and then going to the top and then cutting out this outward circle here. And then we would have like had this original shape we started with, but it's more complicated. So like there's lots of ways to do the same thing, but you want to pick the best and easiest and most efficient. We like easy, but we didn't pick easy here because we didn't think ahead. And we're also here for the learning experience. So don't follow me yet. I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do it once. I'm going to delete it, and then you're going to do it along with me. Okay. So either in the top command bar here, which a lot of people like to do, is you can type in plane. I think this is what you want. Yes. Okay. So you can either type in plane there and get to where we're about to be, or you can do the intellectual option. So we're going to go to features. We're going to be like, okay, there's a huge mess here, huge mess. Get to the far right side. We're going to click reference geometry, because we're creating a plane. A plane is a form of reference geometry. There are other options here. Like we could create a whole new coordinate system, which is like a whole new origin. We could create an axis and like revolve something around that axis. So there's like a lot of options here, but we're just going to go and create a plane. So this will be really useful because we're going to be like, hey, I want this plane to be in the middle of this face and this face. And it just knows. It's like, hey, I know what you're trying to go for. And it places it exactly in between these two. There's a lot of options here. Like what we could have alternatively done, if I didn't select the second face, I could have been like, hey, I know the distance between this face. I'm going to go flip offset. I know the distance that I want it, that places it in between. I don't know what that number is, but just say we did. That's like one way you could do it. So there's a lot of options like to play around with in terms of like what you could be creating in terms of this plane. Like if we picked these two sides, like for some reason, say we needed this, we could create that. It gives you all the tools you need to possibly like create whatever you're trying to create here. And so you can possibly have like 3 references here. And like, I don't know, like for some reason, oops, maybe you want, where is this? Okay, maybe you don't want that. But like the whole point is you've got a lot of options here. We're not going to go into like complicated options here, but like if there is something that you're trying to mirror and you feel like you need another plane, there's like a lot of situations where you will want another plane. I just want to like make sure you're familiar with this so that you're just like not like, I can't even design this. Like this is how you overcome, like I'm trying to show you all the tools to overcome like impossible design problems if you only have the basic tools. So we're going to go click the top face, click the bottom face. Alternatively, we could like use the planes from before and like be like, hey, instead of clicking the bottom face, we're going to click the bottom plane, but we're not going to do that because we're just not going to do that. So I'm going to hit the check mark. And just like that, we've got a new plane that is in the middle of our model, and it's called plane 1. So I want you to go and do that really quick. I'll delete my plane and like show it one more time. You can like do it at the same time, or you can watch if you're like still confused. So I'm going to delete what I just did. So I'm going to go to reference geometry, which is under features. Alternatively, this time what I'll do is I'll go to the top, I'll search plane, I'll click plane just to show you that it works. Exactly the same screen as we had before. It gives us the option to have 3 references. We can have as few or as many as we want, as long as it's like realistic and puts our plane where we want it. So I'm not even like clicking on the left side of my screen at all. I'm just like straight up just saying, I like these 2, you figure it out, and it figures it out for me. And it just places them right in between. So it shouldn't be too hard to do, but if you do have a problem, there's a lot of buttons you could accidentally click, so I will help you out. So I'm just gonna hit the check mark, and once again, you should see like yours will be called plane 1, mine is called plane 2 because I deleted one. It's just like let me know if you have any problems, and like do that real quick.
While they're doing that, could you tell me a little bit? So how do you move in and out like that, so fancy and so fast? So are you using just your arrow keys?
Okay, so the motion that I'm doing right now is with my scroll wheel,
which is on your mouse.
Which is on my mouse.
If I have a Mac mouse, I don't have a scroll.
I should have specified. I'm so sorry. Yeah. That's the one thing with SolidWorks is you actually can't have SolidWorks on a Mac. You can only do it through Remote ECF. There's not a single Mac version of SolidWorks. It has to be on Windows or something like silly that like really advanced people use.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why that is or like what the problem is, but that is most definitely what the case is. There's like, if you try to buy SolidWorks, you just won't be able to. So like, I don't know, like, are you able to use normal people mice on the fancy Mac?
Yeah, I think I could Bluetooth a normal mouse.
You want to try doing that? Like, I
don't have a normal mouse.
Of course you don't. Okay, that's totally fair.
No, but it's okay. What else though? Like outside of scrolling, you also have the arrow keys. I've tried filling with it. There's like the control up. Oh my God.
Okay, can I see your mouse? Can you just like show me on the screen what it looks like? What even is this thing?
Do you see it?
Yeah, I do see it. It's like some future tech. Can't even do the basics. Okay.
Looks slick, though.
Yeah, it looks excellent.
That says I really like the selection tool feature that Safe was talking about because it let me like pan and rotate or whatever.
Yeah, you might as well be using a touchpad.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if this is like how they work. If you use 2 fingers on the top of your mouse and you scroll with 2 fingers.
Oh, it works.
There we go. Yeah, I know. It's still, you can never make up for having a physical wheel. It's like the audio jack, which you guys also killed. But yeah, like if you use 2 fingers, you can also zoom in. I tried doing that on the touchpad. It didn't work for me on the touchpad. Okay, never mind. It does work for me on the touchpad. What the heck? Okay, Safe. If you want to use 2 fingers on your touchpad, it's a little finicky, but you can zoom in and out.
Yeah, I noticed that. I like lost control though and went like all the way back, so I had to like zoom to fit to come back.
That is totally fair. Another way that you could come back after like say I like completely lose my model. I got no clue where it is. I'm never zooming back. If you go Control 7, boom. Or you go Control 1, boom. It's like I'm gonna lose it again. Just like no clue where it is. I'm never gonna find it. Right? Control 1, boom.
Very nice.
Yeah, I had to learn that the hard way too. So it happens. There's a lot of space in infinite space that you could be placing your model or losing it. So it's important that you can go back and find it. Okay, fantastic. Is there anybody who doesn't have this fully complete, like, or is very close, or just needs a little bit of help? Wow, I've got some scholars in this class. That's impressive. Okay, most of my classes, they would actually be a little bit further ahead, but that is fine. We're also a very intelligent class, and we're doing stuff right. My other classes would do stuff right, so that's why they could go fast. So there's advantages to both. Okay, fantastic. We've got this gorgeous plane. This is pathetic. What kind of educator puts a slide which doesn't say anything? Me. Okay, so I'm gonna go to SolidWorks, and this time you're gonna have to actually like pay attention because there's nothing on that slide. It gives you a hint at what to do, but it doesn't tell you how to do it. So we're going to do a mirror. So a mirror, you can either type it in at the very top, or you can go and click in the features tab here, mirror. So I'm just gonna click it in the features tab, but like, once again, if you just go up here, mirror, it'll be the very first thing that pops up. So I'm gonna click mirror. So now we get a few options here. So there's like a few different things you could possibly mirror. We could like even mirror this whole part. Like if I went, okay, like, and then I went to this. I'm not explaining what I'm doing because like, it's stupid. But like I could mirror the whole thing and we just get like a really thick keychain. But that's not what we're trying to do. Okay. Instead, we're trying to mirror a specific feature. So like here it says you can mirror features, you can mirror faces, or you can mirror a body. So if I wanted to mirror the whole part, I'd probably click mirror bodies, but that's not what I want to do. So what I want to do is I want to go mirror face / plane. I'm going to click airplane because I renamed the plane that we created. So I thought it was fitting. And so that now knows that we are trying to mirror across this plane. I'm going to click features to mirror. I just close that there. So I'm going to click features to mirror. So one way that you could do this is like you just go over here and you click this cut and it'll work. But like I like to do stuff the surefire way. Like I don't want something to go wrong. So I'm going to go to the top here, go to this drop down menu. I'm going to search for that cut specifically in the tree, which is this one here, cut extrude 2. I'm going to click it. It's going to do exactly the same thing as to what I just did, but I just did it a different way, a more accurate way. Okay, so now there are like some other options down here. I want a partial preview. Sometimes this is turned off. I think in SolidWorks 2020, it's always turned on, which is really useful because I can't even turn it off. If it's off, that it's very frustrating because like sometimes you'll be trying to do something that is not actually what you're trying to do, or it'll be something that doesn't work. But usually if you can see a preview, that means that what you're doing is going to work in the end. So there is also, okay, no, we're good. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit the check mark here. And now we've got that cut on both sides and it looks very stylish. So remember the steps were to start off by going to mirror. I'll like delete this and go all the way back. You should like attempt it while I do this. So the first step is go find mirror. Either it's under features and like kind of towards the right side at the bottom, or you type it in at the top. So you click on mirror. So you could click on your plane if it's still showing on your screen. If it's not showing on your screen or you're like kind of concerned you're going to click the wrong thing, you go to the top, you open that drop down menu that I showed you, which shows you everything to do with your part. It's got your planes, it's got your like extrudes and like your features. And I'm just going to go all the way down to that plane we created and click that for mirror face / plane. Then it's going to ask me for a feature to mirror. So the feature that I want to mirror is that cut extrude we just make. And then I'm just going to hit the check mark and boom, did it again. Okay, so like let me know if you have any problems. I'll give you another minute to do this. Let me just see where we're at because we might be able to take a break in a second. Okay, so we're going to do one more thing and then take a break. This thing isn't going to take long, but I'm going to give you like a 10-minute break so that you can either take a break if you really need a break, or you can spend some time fooling around with this because both will be a good use of time. Okay, so has everybody mirrored? Has anybody not mirrored? I guess is a better question. Wow, we got some good learners in here. Okay, fantastic. Okay, fantastic. Okay, So the next step is to add our names or whatever you want your keychain to say. So there's going to be a few steps in order to do this, and I'm going to show you the process. So this is a little more freehand. It's like not something as dimensioned as before, and inevitably we're going to hit problems, but that's why I'm going to give you 10 minutes to like try to fix the problems yourself. I know, good educator. Okay, so I'm going to click the top face. You can click the bottom face. It doesn't matter. The whole point is we want this to be on our model. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click Sketch. I'm going to go to the very bottom. I'm going to right click on Sketch 4, and I'm going to go Normal 2. I'm going a little faster. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to lines. I'm going to create a center line. I take the center line. I'm just going to kind of draw it. So this is just like for reference, and I'll show you what it references a little bit later. It's like you probably should just watch for this point because this is more freehand, like less dimension. Yours is not going to be exactly the same as mine, and that is totally fine. And so basically what's going to happen is our name is going to sit on that line that we just created. So I put some dimensions here. You don't need these dimensions. These dimensions just worked for me because of like the length of my name, but like what you're putting on and the font size that you choose, it completely changes things. So within our sketch tools, there is like this A, which is the text tool. So it's like amongst the rectangle, the square, the circle, all that stuff. So I click text. Then it's going to want to be placed on a curve. And so a curve just like gives us the hint that you could also like have like something silly that's like swayy, like an actual curve. Or what we're going to do is we're just going to put it on a straight line. If you're interested in putting on a curve, I will show you how to do that super quick after. Okay, so I click that line. Now I'm going to put some text. We're just going to say UT BIOME. Okay, so now that we've got this text on here, in order to move this text around, I could like hit the check mark and like it's tied to this line. So wherever this line goes, UT BIOME will go. Okay. And so if I want to edit the text that I just put in, it's not a feature, so you don't go to the left side of your screen. Instead, you wait until it highlights orange and you double click on it. It'll open your text menu again. Okay. And so here you're going to notice that there's only a few settings that it lets me actually play with. And so in order to change that, you go to the very bottom and you click use document font. So by default, this thing is check marked. So as a result, it only lets you use one font. This is where things are about to be crazy for the next 10 minutes. So I'm going to uncheck this. And then this font thing opens up, as well as like spacing between your letters. So now I can click on font. And now you have everything at your fingertips. So like I want to use Comic Sans. And I want my Comic Sans to be bold oblique. I don't know what oblique means, and I don't know why that's an option, but it's here.
Slanted. It means slanted.
Who doesn't use the term italics then? There's somebody with a serious problem who's working for SolidWorks who says oblique. Okay, so I'm going to choose, like, I don't use numbers. I'm not very good with numbers, so I don't care about numbers. So I'm going to go to points. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use a 48-point font. That's too big. So I'm going to go back to font. I'm going to like crank it down to like 28. Look at that, Comic Sans, it's gorgeous. So I'm going to, I'm just going to hit the check mark for now, and I'm going to reposition it a little bit.
Yo, there's a font called Elephant.
There are some ridiculous fonts. So like this is one thing I did want to warn you about because this is where things start to break. I'm going to keep it as Comic Sans, but if I went into font, there are some very silly fonts, like whatever this is. So if I pick whatever this is, what probably is going to happen is SolidWorks is like using general fonts. It's not like everything that it gives you is going to work. So what's going to happen here is in SolidWorks, you never want things that are overlapping. As soon as there are things that are overlapping, SolidWorks is going to get very confused because it doesn't know what you want to extrude, doesn't know what you want to cut, and it's just going to break. So if you pick a very complicated font like this one, like I'm sure there's like weird intersections here. Like as you can see, like stuff is overlapping here. It's just going to be a mess. So as a result, pick something that looks like it's well spaced. That's like reasonable. There are times where like a crazy font will work, but like keep that into consideration because if you are having a problem, that is probably why. Like for some reason this says UT BIOME in another language. I don't know that language, but I'd like to speak it. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to Comic Sans because I trust it. And boom. Okay, so I'm just going to like go another step ahead, and this is going to be like your chance to like explore after. And so the next step is like also up to you. Like I've left this kind of up to you what you like what you would like this to look like is up to you. So if you want it to be, okay, I actually made, okay, no, it's fine. I was just checking to make sure it wasn't on the middle plane. Like it could be on the middle plane, but it lowers your options. If you actually do it on the middle plane, you don't want that later on, I'll show you how to fix that. Okay, so I now want to extrude it so that I have like text that sticks out from my keychain. That's fine for now, just so I can show you. So boom, now your keychain says UT BIOME. Alternatively, I'm going to delete the feature I just created. That'll keep the sketch that I had before because I don't want to get rid of that. I go to edit sketch. Instead of creating material, I could also cut material. So if I go to Extruded Cut, I could cut blind or all the way through. Boom. And so now it says UT BIOME through it in the form of a cut. So I'm going to leave that up to you if you want to cut it or if you want to extrude it, by how much, what you want to say, where you want to position it. And we're going to start a 10-minute break. We're going to continue at 3:35. You could either play around with this now and like get some like fun experience with it, or you can like just take a full 10-minute break, whatever works for you. I'll be back in 10 minutes. So like if you have questions, I won't be able to save them or like help you out until then. So I hope that's all right. So just like choose what you want to do with your time. I will open the sketch back up so you can like kind of be inspired with like how I did it. Like maybe inspiring is not the word because it's kind of pathetic. But you just like start by drawing a construction line so that you could show where your text is going to be positioned. I then went to the text tool, and the text tool, it asked for a curve. I clicked that line. I started typing. You're going to realize you can't change anything until you click use document font. Turn that off. You went to font, and the world's your oyster. Okay. So fool around with that, have some fun, you know, and I'll fix anything that breaks in 10 minutes. So we'll just like pick up again at like, I'll give you a full 10 minutes, like 36 after. Okay. And I'll be back then.
Thank you.
Okay. Not a worry.
Like at the bottom of my screen.
Is that all right? Like bottom of your screen is it not on your model?
No, it's on the model, but at the bottom edge of the model. I was trying to center it in the rectangle, and I just made a mess of things.
You at least know how to fix it?
No. Well, I'm trying to figure it out though. I'm trying to figure it out. Actually, I had a question. So
perfect.
Let me show you. That might be easier. Can I?
Yep. Let me stop sharing my screen.
I feel like I take up too much of everybody's time here.
No, everybody's asking the same questions, so it definitely helps. Okay.
So you see my UT BIOME is down there?
I do.
In an effort to center it, I just brought it down to this line center.
And it probably got stuck. Okay.
I don't think it's stuck, but I don't know how to move it.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, yes. Oh, okay, wait. Yes. Okay, where you've already clicked.
Yeah.
See if you can drag it. See if you can drag just that line upwards.
Oh.
Beautiful. There you go. And then let go, and you're set.
Okay, but how do I still center it? Like I want to center the UT BIOME on this keychain.
Realize I will tell you the issue with why you can't necessarily center it. Okay, so like everything is based off of that line that you just created, yeah. Right? And so at the very left of that line is like a point, but that point isn't where the letter U starts. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit to the left.
Yeah, it's centered because I centered the UT BIOME on it.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's try this then. Okay, no, you're onto something. Let's see if it works. I don't know how well it'll work, but we're gonna try. Okay, so you're gonna, like click away or hit escape. Mm-hmm. Okay, so click the left point of the line.
The left point?
Yep, hold control.
Yeah.
And then click the left line, like the left vertical line. That, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so now click coincident. Okay, and now we're going to do this with the right side. So you're going to go to the right point, hold control, click that line. Yep. Then click coincident.
Oh.
Let me see. Oh, it's because you've dimensioned it. Okay. Click that dimension, that 1.5 that you made, and just hit delete. Beautiful. Okay, so now it should be centered horizontally.
Yeah.
Do you want it centered vertically too?
Yeah.
Okay, let me think. Okay, because here's the thing. If we bring that line that it is placed on up to the center, the text will not be in the center. The text will be above it.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I said. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we put a guideline in the middle of the UT biome? That's what I was trying to do. Like we could put a center line.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Would that work?
Okay, so here's the issue. I've got no clue what points that font gives. So what you're going to do is hit escape.
Escape. Mm-hmm.
You're going to try to zoom in onto the UT biome. Like zoom in on the E. So you're going to like maybe like use 2 fingers and try to scroll inwards.
Let's see what happens. No, not 2 fingers doesn't do.
Okay, I want you to go over to the E, like where the E is in the middle. Like where the circle part on the right side, the middle E portion is. We're just trying to see if we're just trying to. Yeah.
I may have to do like this.
Okay. Now hit escape. Okay. I want to see if there's a point on the E on that round portion, because I don't think there is.
No, I don't think there is either.
No. Okay. Well, I was worth an attempt. Okay, so there's like another way we could do it. Okay, I want you to take the smart dimension. We're going to use the smart dimension not the way it's supposed to be used.
Okay.
So go to smart dimension. I want you to click the bottom of the E and the top of the E. We're just going to try to find the height of the letters that we're using. So you could use the line and see if you could select the top of the E.
No.
Okay, just click it anyway. Let's see if we can get an estimate. Hold
up. I know how to do it though, because I saw this option. Let me show you.
Okay.
Hold up. Let me get rid of this. Okay.
So within the text?
This, right?
Okay.
Go here. It gives you the unit size, like the height of the letters.
Yeah.
So I could go here and change this to like 0.2 inches.
Okay. Sure, let's try that.
Oh, 0.22. And hold on.
Okay.
0.2 inch. So now we know that this is 0.
Yep. Spot on. Okay, so now do some engineering.
Okay. Let's figure it out. Hold up. Ah! So, I see what you mean about like the mouse thing. I want the point of this line, I think. Hold up. How do I make the coincident? Oh my god.
Okay, just click your dotted line again.
That was so funny. I was not able to do anything.
Okay, now go to the top. It's totally fine. Wait. Go to where it says edge 1 under curves.
Yeah.
And delete that.
Okay. Oh.
Perfect. Okay.
So what just happened?
So basically what had happened is since you clicked the left side while the curves box was still highlighted, it thought that like you wanted it to be attached to the left side line instead of the line we had set before. So basically we just like set it back to using that line that we'd created. Okay. We can figure out what the dimension is. Let me take a look. I'm just gonna look at this.
How do I tell where this point is along this line?
So if you dimension it from the bottom, so if you click that line, okay, wait, hit X first. Okay, wait, we're breaking your UT biome. Okay, perfect. Go to smart dimension. So the dimension that you're going to want to set is click your line, your dotted line, sorry.
Okay.
And now click the bottom line, the bottom of your model. You're going to want to zoom in a little bit to make sure you're clicking the right thing. Yep, right there. Now drag to the left.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the dimension that we're going to play around with to get it to the center.
That makes sense.
So it's going to be whatever the middle is minus 0.2.
Yeah.
So I'll go back into the slides. I'll tell you what the Okay, so that initial dimension when we first made it was 1 inch, right?
So 0.5 and then minus.
And 0.3. So try making that number 0.3.
No, it'll be 0.4 because it's half of the UT biome.
Good point. I don't do math, so you're spot on. That's excellent. And that's why you got 3 inch psi. Okay, fantastic. That looks great. And that should be technically in the center based off of all the math that we know. So you can just hit the check mark now and do your cut or your extrude. And I'll just make sure it works while you do that. So go to features.
Make it center properly.
Perfect.
Features. And then I'm going to click this.
You're already in the sketch, so you don't need to click anything. So just go, do you want to cut or do you want material added?
Cut.
Okay, so click Extruded Cut.
Oh, actually, this would be hard to clean. I want material added.
Okay, fair. Okay, so hit the X on the cut extrude. And you're going to go extruded boss/base.
Yeah.
It'll know by default that you want your text. And so you can't exactly click things, can you? I mean, like rotate, right? Like I just would say click the scroll wheel and like look around, but we don't really know what's occurring right now. So like double click with your 2 fingers on your strange mouse and see if you can rotate.
That's not gonna work. Hold on.
What an obscure mouse.
What do you want me to do?
I just want to make sure that, okay, we're just going to guess. Just pick a dimension and hit the check mark. And I assume it's the software has got it going in the right direction.
Okay, I'm going to pick like a smaller version, 0.02. There.
Okay, hit the check mark.
And then we can make this, we can look at it.
Exactly. Okay, yep, it looks like it worked. Hit Control 7. Control and then 7. Oh.
I have a command too. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks fine.
Okay, well, you can also go back. If you ever want to change that, you go back to the boss extrude, you right click, you edit feature at the very top. Yep, that one. And then you can change the dimension again. So like say you want it to be a little more, you can make it 0.05, doesn't matter. But that's how you edit features. So you could just hit the check mark or the X mark. It doesn't really matter. If you want to save it, check mark. If you don't, X mark. Okay, so like this is something worth everybody noting. So that sketch that we had just created that has the UT BIOME letters, go to the bottom where it says boss extrude, click the arrow to the left of boss extrude, that drop-down menu, and that is your sketch now. So say you wanted not to change how much the thickness is of what's coming out and saying UT BIOME, you go on that, right click on that, you can go edit sketch, and you could go all the way back to editing your font or like repositioning your font or anything like that. And then once you escape and like save that sketch, like go to the top right where the X, like the big red X are, and don't hit the X, but hit the other icon. I don't know what you'd call that, arrow and squiggle. And so if you were theoretically to have altered it, then it just would have updated and SolidWorks would have done the rest of the work for you. And this would have been your like new, whatever change you had made would be showing here basically.
Yeah, I have a question. So I click edit, click edit sketch, and then I should be able to change the font. How?
Okay, so if you're in edit sketch, double click the font.
There?
Yeah. And then it brings you back to this menu here.
And then if I want to make it a little bit big, let's say, oh, that's not going to work, right? Because we didn't.
Exactly. It's going to change your dimensions and stuff. So you're going to have to like play around with it more later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So like any change that you make, you're going to have to adjust your model to it. But like the key feature of SolidWorks is not letters, but it's just something fun that you can do. So if you do want letters, we've got letters. I'll show you another time also how to like add pictures and stuff. It's like you can like do some kind of crazy stuff. We'll like render some really fun things. Like we'll render our model in a kitchen because that's where you're going to find your keychain. It'll be really fun. Okay. Okay. If you could stop sharing your screen, I'll share my screen and we'll move forward. Also, I realize I have made a crucial mistake and I'm very impressed that nobody's like computer has died or anything bad's happened, but we should probably save our models because I haven't saved mine. But it's more important that you save yours just like if you ever wanted to go back and change this or use this, or like even just see how you made this, you've got the whole feature tree here on the left side. Wait, I'll share my screen, sorry. Okay, so like, say like a year goes by, you're like, I want to know how I keychained, and you can't find the video for how you keychained. So we'd open up the model to the keychain. And so I'm just gonna exit my sketch. Okay, I've got my beautiful cut. But like, say I was like, how did I make this just like from square one? So like that thing that I was showing you before, this bar at the bottom, if you pull it all the way up, I can see from the very first step how we created this. So if you're ever given a model or you find a model online and you're just like curious how they made it, this is an excellent way to learn. And so that was the first step. So you can like kind of understand the thought process of what we were doing. So we made the base first. So we cut out our hole. Then we cut out the other notch. We made our plane. We mirrored it. Oops. Okay, and then we did that. Right, and I made our cut. So you can just kind of go through the timeline once again of exactly how you went about this process. And as always, you can go back to the very first steps and change things. Like say, okay, so like we didn't design this very well for things to be changed. I have a model that I think realistically it's going to be next week that we're going to cover it, which is really cool because I'm going to show you how you can change stuff very quickly in SolidWorks and like how your whole model will adjust based off of it, which is really useful. So like say we made this whole thing and we're like, uh-oh, we made an oopsie. And like we had to go all the way back to the first step, and this was supposed to be 4 inches, not 3 inches. If I go and I change this to 4 inches, you're going to realize that like, okay, we actually designed it pretty well, but it's just stuff happens, right? Like the relations that we have aren't designed for things to be changed, right? It's like now we've got whatever this thing is, right? So I'm going to teach you how to like kind of model to account for such changes. And it's like, look at how weird this is with the font, like how this O is kind of like out here, but still, I'm going to teach you this really cool technique later on. I'm not going to like overwhelm you by like bringing anything up about it now because it literally will just overwhelm you. I'm just going to like Control Z. Beautiful, and we're back. Okay, I don't encourage you to go and like try that because there's also the potential that you like won't know how to fix it. I took the risk because like I knew how to fix it. But okay, so I'm actually gonna like show you. We're gonna design one more part super quickly. So we're just gonna try to like blaze through this one, and then I'm gonna show you like introduce you to assemblies. So I'm just gonna go File, Save As. I'd encourage you all to like save this somewhere. Ignore like the garbage I have on my computer. I'm just gonna like call this UT BIOME keychain. I'm gonna save that and boom, we're done. So like, say for example, you wanted to 3D print this. So you'd go to Save As. This is like the default type here is SolidWorks part. But if you open up the drop-down menu, you're gonna notice like you can save this in like a stupid number of ways. If you design a really cool part at some point, you could save it as an e-drawings, and you can send this to somebody who doesn't have SolidWorks, and they can open up the part using this free software called e-drawings that SolidWorks makes, and they can like look at the part and like animate it and like take measurements from it, but they don't have the part themselves. So like they can't just like go into SolidWorks and edit it. Instead, it's like a good way to like work with a client and like be like, hey, like this is what we've got. You know, take a look at this. You send it to them. They download the free software super quickly, and then they can open it and like instantly understand what you're trying to get across. Okay, so if you do want to 3D print though, all you would do is you go down to .stl. You save it as a .stl file, and then like all 3D printing softwares tend to take an STL. So like if I'll just like save it for the sake of it because you're going to see a really cool like my screen is going to like turn into changing this model into triangles for a second. That's like the process of saving an STL unless they've changed SolidWorks. So let's see if it still does that. See, look at all these triangles. So like it now breaks up the geometry. It makes 3,610 triangles. And so as a result now, like we can 3D print this because it's now in a language that like the 3D printing softwares understand instead of it being a SolidWorks part. So like if you do want to 3D print this later, let me know and I can like guide you through that process. But that is the key, a .stl file, like for anything that you're trying to 3D print, that's like the general standard that the softwares take. Okay, very cool. So now that we've got this saved, I know what comes next, but I'm just gonna pull up the slides anyway. Okay, so like we finished our name, we extruded it, we did all that fun stuff. So now we're just gonna make this cool little keychain attachment. It's going to teach you like a very slightly different perspective on modeling, like very slightly different, but just like something you may not have considered already. And then after we've made this, we're going to like put this together in an assembly. Then you're going to end up with like a model like this with like a full keychain. Okay, very cool. So what we're going to do is, if your computer is getting, okay, make sure you save this before you do this. I'm going to advise you to close this model just because since you're on remote ECF, it'll definitely slow down your computer having both these open. So I'm just going to go to this little X. Don't go to the big X all the way at the top. If you click this big X all the way at the top right of your screen, this closes all of SolidWorks. If you do the one that is slightly lower, like within the screen that your model is in, like in an area where I can literally move my model, then that just means you're only closing this part. So I'm going to click that small X, not the one at all the way at the top right, but the one that's slightly lower. I click that, and SolidWorks is going to stay open. If you've accidentally closed SolidWorks, I forgive you. I just want to get that out there. It's like, don't feel offended. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Okay, so after you've closed it, we're going to go through the exact same process we did before. We're going to click the paper sheet, go to File, New. Any way that you can start a part, do it. So you go New, Part, okay. I'll give you a second to do that. And like, I'll show you a couple cool things that I didn't like plan on showing you, but I just kind of had the idea to show you. Just like some basic stuff. It's not gonna be like useful or necessary right now, but there will be times where it is useful and necessary. And you'll be able to kind of get a feel for that. Okay, so like once you've got this open, I don't remember what plane I used. Let me just double check. So that it's consistent. We've got some very fun stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go with the top plane. I'm gonna go to the top plane. You can left click or right click, whatever it is. We're starting to sketch on the top plane. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so I'd say watch me for this part, unless you feel like you can kind of like do both at the same time. By all means, do both at the same time. But like, don't be afraid just to watch me. I'll give you guys like a second to like ask questions and kind of do this after. So once again, we get to use our fancy line tool. Let me just see kind of like what relations I applied, where it's positioned. Okay, fantastic, exciting. Okay, one more thing I just gotta check. Okay, easy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're gonna start with the line tool. I'm gonna start to the left of my origin. I'm gonna draw straight up. It's gonna apply an automatic vertical relation. I'm gonna click once. I'm gonna press the A key. We get a nice arc going. I'm gonna make it so that the arc ends exactly where it starts. You can see how that dotted line pops up. If I move away, dotted line goes away. If I go back, dotted line pops up right there. I'm gonna draw another straight line, and I drew it so that it was like in line with the origin as well. And we're done for now, okay? I'm gonna start doing some dimensioning, and then I'm gonna show you something super cool, which is going to simplify your time a lot. Okay, so dimension-wise, we have 1 inch from here to here. Okay, oh no, this is horrible. Okay, so you guys are gonna have to check and make sure that you have this situation as well, because you probably do. So because we live in Canada, SolidWorks automatically thinks that like we're also millimeter peasants. So we're gonna go to the bottom right to where it says millimeter gram seconds. We're gonna click on that. And we're gonna switch to IPS. Okay, just because like I made everything in IPS. Okay, so like once you do that, it's gonna pull us out of the sketch like it did before. We're gonna go over to sketch 1. We're gonna right click. We're gonna go edit sketch. And we're back in there once again. Okay, so I'll give you a second just to do that. And it's like, as you can see, when I typed 1 in before, I typed it in as in millimeters. So I've got like this puny, pathetic thing. Boom, 1 inch. Look at this. I just completely ruined my model because like nothing makes sense. Look at this. This is why we start in inches and don't do it later. Look at this. Like, how sad is this? Okay, so like I'm going to like do some stuff just to like make it a little bit faster. I'll be a good teacher. I'll do it the normal people way. We're gonna go 1 inch. I misclicked. Excellent. I'm gonna go 1 inch. Boom. Excellent. Okay. So if you're in the same situation as I am, I'm gonna go control. Don't know what this is gonna do, but the goal is it's gonna let me go horizontal. Boom. I've broken the model. Give me a second. I will fix it. I don't know how I broke it, but this is perfect because I get to show you another thing that we get to do for fixing models. So I'm going to click where it says over-define down here. And so what I'm going to do is, this thing is absolutely disgusting, but like anytime you run into this problem, SolidWorks is like there to help you fix it. So I clicked over-define at the bottom. And so all over-define means, and the reason it's yellow, is I have things that aren't necessarily conflicting, but I have defined certain things too many times. Like I have already made it abundantly clear that this needs to be in this way, and I'm like making it clear again to SolidWorks. And it's like, you might cause problems with this, so I'm gonna make this yellow. So I'm just gonna go diagnose, and it's gonna show me some possible solutions. So one solution is I get rid of this tangent relation at the top. So the tangent relation basically makes us happy. So we're not going to get rid of that. Okay, so now it's proposed a different relation. It says that I could get rid of the horizontal relationship, which is between here and here. Okay, let's see what other options we have. That one could work. This is getting rid of a vertical line. It's like if I got rid of this, I think our model would just get like crazy slanted or something. I don't want to do that. Not the vertical. This is a distance. I don't want to get rid of the distance. I don't want to get rid of that. And I don't want to get rid of the tangent. So I'm going to go back to the horizontal line because that's like where stuff kind of started to cause problems. I'm just going to hit accept. Let's see what SolidWorks does with it. So now it fixed whatever was going on before. It deleted those extra horizontal relationships. Now if I pull on it, it still is doing what I wanted it to do before. So we're totally fine. Okay. So we still have some dimensions to kind of fix up here. So I'm just going to do this 0.25 as well as this 0.5. So from here to here, so there's a few different ways we could do this, but I'm just doing it with dimensions this time. You could also do this with the center line. Yeah, I'll do it with the center line, just like you could see it. But like once again, we could use the center line again. Click on the center line, zoom in so you can actually make sure you're selecting the origin. Select the origin, go midpoint. SolidWorks got angry. This is important. We have to be able to do this. So I'm going to try to diagnose it. Okay. So there is an issue with a vertical somewhere. It's like I kind of messed things up when we started. There's an issue with the distance. It's like, did I draw this dimension twice? Yeah, okay. I made an at some point. I don't know when I did it, but I dimensioned this line twice. It's like, that's what was kind of breaking SolidWorks for a while there. So like, sorry if I confused you with that, but I accidentally drew this dimension twice. I don't know how I did it. I didn't even notice it, but I did it. So like, don't dimension the same thing twice. Oh, actually, I do know why I did it. Never mind. Just ignore me. But this is perfect. This is what we want. This is excellent. I just overdefined it because these it doesn't matter. I overdefined it. Moral of the story. Okay. I see where I went wrong. Okay, fantastic. So now this is fully black and we didn't have to use any of the anchors. So that means we've done something completely right. So I'm going to go back to the slide and I'm going to show you a really cool technique. So as you can see, we want to have like, we basically want to like replicate what we just drew, but like with a thickness. And like, instead of manually drawing and dimensioning everything one by one, I'm going to show you like SolidWorks' solution to make this really fast. So what we're technically doing is we are offsetting what we've done in the center and drawing it again and like connecting it all together. So there's something in SolidWorks called offset entities, and it's within our sketch tools. So I'm going to click offset entities. I'm going to click on what we just drew, and then it's going to show me a possible solution to what I want. So here it is trying to draw it on the inside, but if you look back at our model, I dimensioned the inside already. So what I drew initially was the inside, so I want it on the outside. So I'm going to go reverse. So now it is drawing it on the outside. I have a specific thickness I want. Let's see what the thickness was. I want a 0.1 thickness. I've got a 0.1 thickness here. And so the magic happens as soon as I hit the check mark, because it basically creates what we had just had on the inside, but does it on the outside again with like no extra time spent. And so I am just going to close off the sketch. So every time you do a sketch, you want it to be a complete closed body, because here SolidWorks doesn't really know what I want. So I'm just going to quickly go and just seal this off with some like normal people lines. Okay, I might have actually accidentally. Okay, see, I just made an uh-oh. This is something that could totally happen to you. Is when I clicked, I didn't click on this line here. And instead, I clicked like close to this line. And so if that happens, it'll cause problems. Okay, I basically just dragged it and it automatically applied the relation. So like SolidWorks has an idea of what you're kind of trying to do, but you have to do it for it to help you. Okay, so like ultimately you're going to get this thing here, which looks excellent. I'll give you a second to do that, but like the next step is just going to be to extrude it. So I realized I went faster here. The goal is just to get you to like be able to follow faster and see like what is reasonable, and we'll fix the problems together. So like see if you can kind of figure that out based off of what I just did. I'll explain the steps one more time. We went and we drew the inside first. We dimensioned the inside. We went to convert entities. We clicked the inside that we created. We gave it a thickness of 0.1, and we made sure that it was going outside, so that it was making our model bigger instead of smaller. And so because it went to the outside, we then just had to seal off the bottoms here by drawing some additional lines. And as soon as it's done, it should kind of fill in with gray, which basically hints at that SolidWorks knows exactly what you've done and that this is what you want to basically extrude or do something with. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes just to kind of figure that out. I'm going to take a quick look at the next step, just like how we're extruding it. And then I am all ears to help you out.
Aidan, I just have a quick question.
Not a worry.
Cool. I'm trying to get the origin, the arrows to show up.
Okay. So like your origin is not showing up?
Yeah, the arrows, yeah.
Okay, I want to see your screen then. So I'm going to stop sharing because I'm now interested. I see. Let me take a look at my SolidWorks real quick. Okay. Okay. I want you to go to the very left of your screen to where it says origin. Go right above, like you see what just kind of popped up, the eyeball? No, that's going to hide it. Okay, no, don't click that. I wonder if you're just too zoomed out from it. So I want you to, okay, so like move away from that. That was one possible solution. I want you to hit just like Control 1.
Okay.
I think this might be a visual bug. Click on the origin again, just on the left. It's very strange. Click on it. Click the eye icon. Should hide it. Now go back to origin and click that eye icon again. I want to see if it like shows it now. Okay, we're gonna try one more thing. I want you just to try sketching. So just go to the top plane and start a sketch. Right click. Here, go back to the top plane, like on the left side. Right click that. Oh, sorry. Yeah, click the sketch icon that's just slightly above you. Yep, that one, perfect. Okay, the origin's showing now. I just would kind of go with it. I think it was just like a visual bug. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But you can see it now, so I think you should be all right. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure, that sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the help.
Yeah, not a worry, not a worry. Okay, just let me know if anybody else needs some help with this step, because it is definitely one of the harder steps we've done that I haven't like walked you through very like delicately. Here, I'll share my screen again, just in case you kind of want to see what's going on. Okay, I'll give you a couple more minutes just to work on this, because I definitely want everybody caught up before the next steps.
Question, does SolidWorks let you change the color of stuff?
It does.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. You know what? Just because you're interested, we will do it today. Like normally, let me see. I don't even know if I was planning on doing it today or next week.
If we don't, it's okay. It's totally okay. I know.
Well, it's interesting stuff. It is interesting stuff. So like, depending on how much time we have after we finish this, I'll decide if like the time is better used for like showing that kind of stuff, or if we have enough time to like attempt the next model.
Okay.
Because I definitely don't want to like stop halfway between something. But there's a very good chance we can get to that because there are some very cool features that SolidWorks provides for that kind of stuff, like appearances.
That's very nice.
Okay, is there anybody still working on this? You're more than welcome to still be working on it. Save Hannah, were you able to both get it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just share screen again? Just to
You are
confirm
more than welcome to.
Cool.
Stopping the share? Okay, go for it.
Was this what we were going for?
Why is it blue?
Okay, I see why it's blue. You're very close, Safe. You're very close. I just hit escape. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to go up to the top left of the line tool. You're going to click the arrow beside it. You're going to make a center line. Okay, center line. Yep. You're going to click the, yep, exactly. Click that and then bring it to the other side. Yep, click that. Okay, escape. Okay, now you're going to click that line you just created. Yep, hold control and click the origin. Not quite. Okay. Okay, yeah, click the origin still. I was able, no, it didn't figure it out.
Wait, coincident right there.
Okay, no, you're right. That is the midpoint. You're good. Yep, click coincident. That'll still work.
There.
Perfect, fully defined. There you go. Khadija outdid me there. I wasn't even considering that. So that's
Nice
impressive.
tag team, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I'm almost a student. Okay, fantastic. Like, I don't even know how I'm supposed to like teach you for more hours if you're already passing me. Like, this is pretty incredible.
No, you're doing so well, Aidan. You're so patient.
I appreciate it. It's fun. I enjoy teaching this. Okay, I enjoy it much more than attending classes. So, and it's more productive than whatever I'd be doing right now. So I am satisfied. Okay, I will share my screen again. Okay, so we're gonna extrude this now. So like, as you notice, kind of like as these slides go on, I've become a little less thorough, just kind of like nudging you as to where you kind of should be. So like if I say extrude by 0.5 inches, now you have like a decision that you get to make here. So I am going to make the decision for you, but like if you were going to do it again, like you have a decision here. So what you're going to do is while your sketch is still open, remember you can just like go and open your sketch again. If it's not, you're going to go to features, extruded boss/base. And so I said extrude at 0.5 inches. So this time we're actually going to take advantage of the mid plane. So instead of doing the blind, I'm going to go mid plane. It'll be helpful later on. So I'll give you a second just to kind of like get to where my screen is at. You're going to change it from blind to mid plane when you go to extrude that sketch, and you're going to set the dimension to 0.5.
What if I extruded it before you started talking about it and didn't?
Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay, so you're going to go to where it says boss extrude, just like on my screen here. Yeah. You're going to right click. You're going to go edit feature. Yeah. And then right here, it should say blind, and you're just going to click that drop down menu and click mid plane instead. Or yeah, mid plane.
Hold on, when I click boss extrude, I clicked edit feature, turned yellow, but I don't see the same menu as you.
I'm going to make you share your screen. I think I know what's going on, but like I just want to make sure. It'll just be faster that way.
You see?
Yeah, okay. It looks like you're in the sketch. So what you're going to do is just hit the X at the top right.
X at the top. Right.
Yep, that one. One of these times, yeah. Yeah, hit discard changes and exit. Okay, yeah, it looks fine. Okay, go to the bottom left, to boss extrude, right click. Go to the top left icon there, edit feature. Yep. And now it should bring you to that same menu. So change it from blind to mid plane. Perfect. Hit the check mark and you're good to go.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Okay. Perfect. And I am taking over. Here we go. Okay, fantastic. So I think everybody should be here by now. If you're not, it's an easy step, but if you do have any questions, like I'm not trying to like shame you for not figuring it out, because there are a lot of buttons to click, as you can see, and like we've only touched like these. And then there's all this. So it is totally fair if you've like accidentally made a mistake. That is like, SolidWorks has a lot of stuff densely packed in here. And I'm just trying to show you like the most important stuff. Then like, and as we go on, I'll show you like some stuff that's a little more situational, but like these are the foundations. And if you could do this, you can learn anything else in SolidWorks. Okay, so we made the extrusion. Okay, so now we're going to make a circle. This circle is going to go inside the hole that we had made on our keychain before. So in order to do this, like, look, we're not sketching on a plane this time. Okay, I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to show you how to do this in two different ways, and you can pick whichever way you want to do it. But I just want to show you, like, this is two different ways you can approach it, and this is actually going to be one of the advantages of doing midplane. So you can either click this face on the inside, and so even though it's a face on the inside, you can go sketch. I can then go normal 2. I can then grab my circle tool. Just going to draw the circle kind of randomly without any relations placed because I don't know where we want the circle. So we want a diameter of 0.5. I'll leave the dimensions up on my screen just so you can do it as well, but I got the gist of it just by looking. 0.5. So I kind of want to get creative here. Let me see if this works. So I'm thinking like maybe I can be like, I don't know if this is how I originally dimensioned it. I'm hoping this is the same thing. If I go tangent, it says, hey, I want this side to touch this edge. I'm going to tangent it to this bottom edge as well. As a result, this is now fully defined. The way I did it in here, you can see I did dimensions. So like I said, I want this and this to be 0.25 apart, and it should still be like, oops. If I go and do this, you see it's 0.25 apart. So I just did the exact same thing in a different way, only using relations. Okay. Is the dimension even necessary? Here, I'm kind of curious. Okay, we're going to try this anyway. I'm going to delete this dimension just because I'm curious and I'd like to show you if this is the case. I think that if I go and I make it tangent to the top as well, you don't even need a dimension. So like I made it tangent to the bottom, tangent to the side, and tangent to the top because there's no other circle that can exist that touches all these sides except for the circle that we want. So that is another way you could do it without dimensions entirely.
How do you find the tangent button?
So it is also just like the coincident. It's just like the midpoint. So I click the circle once, hold control, click the line that you want it to be tangent with, and then on the side, add relation tangent.
Okay, and then I have to be in what kind of view to be able to do that?
Yes. Okay. So go to sketch 2, right click on it and hit normal 2.
Yeah.
And then you should be facing it. You want to share your screen?
I'm there. Like I see the view. It's just okay. I clicked it. I clicked the thing. Oh, I see tangent.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you just got to do that 3 times. Yeah. So one for the top, one for the side, and one for the bottom.
Why? Why not 2? Because
you could do 2, but it doesn't fully constrain it.
Cool.
And I don't think it does, at least.
No.
You're gonna need one more dimension. Yeah. Okay. So I am just going to quickly show you another way that you could have done this. So because it's so easy to do the sketch, I'm just going to actually delete the sketch altogether. So like that time, you don't have to delete yours. Don't delete yours. So we drew it on this face, right? But because we did a mid plane, we actually could use this plane that's right in the center. So I'm going to do it this way. It's going to end up being exactly the same as what yours is, but I am just showing you a different way to do it. So I'm facing it once again. I'm going to draw my circle. I'm going to go, oops. SolidWorks is getting a little slow. It's actually not giving me any options here. Okay, let me exit my sketch and go back in because Something is happening and I don't like it. Oh, I realized the mistake. So I've got like this weird button that's beside my control. I was clicking that weird button. So it was my fault the whole time. Okay, that's one last tangent, so it's fully fixed. But this time, instead of it being on a face, it is designed completely in the middle. And we haven't done anything like that, but you can totally draw in free space as long as you're drawing on a plane. So what I can do now, so we can all do this step, but my step is going to be slightly different, and I'm sure you can figure out how to do your step. So I'm going to go extrude boss/base. And so look, it's trying to do it in one direction, but that's not what I want. So I'm actually going to go mid-plane, and I've got the dimension for it, but I'm going to challenge myself here. So let's see if I can. So like what you're going to do is I want you to go into extrude boss/base, and in the settings, instead of going blind, I want you to click up to next. And what that'll do is like, just like as you can see here, and what you're going to notice on yours, it'll go from one side all the way to the other and stop there, and you won't need any dimensions. Like if you don't know exactly what that dimension is, totally fine because you don't need it. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do up to next twice. So I showed you that I could do mid-plane, but if I do up to next, I have the option for direction 2. I'm going to click that box, and on direction 2, I'm going to do up to next as well. And so I'm doing the exact same thing, just in a different way, and I hope that makes sense. So if I hit the check mark, we should end up with this shape here. Let's just see where we're at. Okay, so there's one more thing that I have on this model here that I want to show you. And so that's making fillets. So I assume, is everybody where we are right now? Or is there anybody that's not here? Okay, fantastic. If you get behind, I'm happy to catch you up. So
yeah, I got a little behind. So
okay.
You did up, instead of blind, you did up to next?
Yes.
And then was it up to?
You don't have to do anything next. Does the preview for you bring it from one side to the other?
Yeah, except there's
you're fine.
Arrow that extends way past.
Does the arrow extend way past, or does the preview extend way past?
The arrow. You
should be fine. Hit the check mark and see what happens.
Oh yeah, it worked. Okay.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, not a worry. I'm glad that you're observant with that stuff because it's important to like take note of that stuff so you know exactly what SolidWorks is trying to do. Okay, so at the very top under features, I'm going to go to fillet right here. You can also type it in. Don't say fillet, even though like it is tempting. I believe that they're actually called fillets. So I'm going to click this line here, and I'll show you what this fillet tool does. It's really useful. So this is the easy way to make your models look more advanced. So I want a dimension of 0.1. So I'm going to go to the dimension part here, the fillet parameters. I'm going to go 0.1. With the fillets, because like the dimensions, a lot of the time you're just kind of guessing them, you're going to want to have a partial preview or a full preview. So I'm going to click full preview, which is going to show all mine. And so this is what's going to occur. So I'm actually going to push it a bit further. In this, I did 0.1, but I'm going to change to 0.25 because it looks even more professional with 0.25. I believe 0.25 is the dimension of professionality. Look at this. Look at how gorgeous this is. So if I click 0.25, it's going to cut that all away, and we're going to get this. And it looks like a professional model, and you've just created it. So what you're going to do, I'll go through the steps one more time. You're going to find fillet. Either it's under your features, and you just like have to kind of like use your eyes and like look around and eventually find it. Or you go to the very top, you type in fillet. You go to fillet. The very first thing you want to do probably is actually turn on the full preview. You can also then go and change your dimension right away because otherwise the preview is not going to do anything if it's using a weird dimension. So change the dimension to 0.25. And then when it's the items that you have to pick, you're going to pick those edges that you saw me cut away to turn into this. Let me know if you need me to go back a step and show it.
Feels good when they turn out the way you want them to turn out.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it important to sketch out your drawing that you want to make before on paper, or like what's best practice?
Okay, best practice or what I do? Okay, so like best practice, yeah, that sounds genius. Have I done that before? Absolutely not. But sometimes like you will want to draw something out if you don't know what the dimensions are, because like one of the big things with SolidWorks that you've noticed is you need to have relations and dimensions. So the first time that you're creating something, you can kind of like make up those dimensions, like go back and change them later. But if you're designing something very specific, you're going to want to make sure that you like have an idea of what your model is going to look like. I'm actually going to show you something really quick. I got to open up Google for it. So there are certifications in SolidWorks, right? And so I'm going to show you the Okay, so this is the Certified SolidWorks Professional Exam. So like if you take the course MIE 243 on campus, you can also get these certification exams for free. Normally people have to pay like $150 for them. So if I go, so this is like a direct from SolidWorks practice exam, or like direct from SolidWorks exam and certification. So like it's like properly recognized. So the one that you'd probably like first try to write is a Certified SolidWorks Associate. This is like kind of my level one is the CSWP, or like what I'm working towards is like the one after this, even though I haven't written this. It's just because I'm lazy. I don't know. I'm sorry to say that, but I should have written this like 5 years ago. But here, so like I'll show you the practice exam, because the practice exam is a good example of like when you kind of have to think things through. Okay, this. So basically they give you this and they say, make this. And so when you look at it, it's like, okay, there's a lot going on here. And so just to let you know, it's even more hectic than it looks. The reason it's more hectic than it looks is it's specifically designed to run you into very difficult problems that you have to resolve. And so when first looking at this, the biggest thing and proper design decision you're gonna have to make is, what are you going to design first? Are you gonna first make these circles, or are you gonna first make the base? And so I don't remember exactly how I did it, but I do have the model. I believe you definitely want to start with the base, but you're also going to notice that certain things are dimensioned based off of other things. So I feel like it was like make the base first, then do this part, because you need this part in order to dimension this area here, and then you can make this. Or maybe you make this and you make this. But like the whole thing is you have to analyze your model to know what process you want to take when you start. And so you're going to want to have as much reference geometry to use that is just naturally there. Like you want your planes to be advantageous for you and all those things. And you're going to want to make sure you have all your dimensions. So here they give you all the dimensions you could ever need to do this. If you are making it the wrong way, or like a less effective way, you're going to hit a point in which you have to do math. When I made this model, there was not a single math I had to do, because I took the hints that they gave me in terms of like what they're dimensioning it based off of. So like, for example, when I was like doing stuff up here and like drawing the circle, I like did it based off of the bottom instead of like based off of like the circle here or something up here. So like you got to take advantage of the information that you know and like come up with a process regarding it. I don't expect you to be at the stage to like kind of fully understand that. But if you ever do attempt this exam, you will 100% understand why process is important. And the more models you do, the better you're going to be at coming up with this stuff. And so this model has to be absolutely perfect in every single way, because the following question is, it gives you the material, gives you all the details, and then it asks you what the mass is of the part. And the only way that you know the mass is if you've done it perfect, like not a single mistake. Every dimension has to be exactly what they were looking for. And so like that's kind of like one of the challenges of the test, because not only do you have to do this fast, like realistically you have to make this within 30 minutes, maybe less. And then there's like following questions and stuff like that. But that's like the big thing that gets a lot of people, is like you want to make sure you're doing it accurately. And so another thing you have to account for, this is another step in the exam in which you have to change what you had just made. So like you are taking that model we just had and now altering it. And so as a result, another thing you have to design for in SolidWorks is like considering alteration within it. And so I'm going to teach you something. It's not going to be today. It's going to be next lesson. And so what it's related to is you can actually, I'll show you in the very first one. It's like you see how it says B and C here. So there are variables in SolidWorks, not like variables in programming, but instead all they are is it's a letter which corresponds to a specific dimension. So they use the megameters here that we don't like. And so you take the A, the B, the C, the D. I'll show you how to do this. We set it all up at the beginning. And then once we get to like dimensioning this, we just type B. And so when you just type B, you can later go back, like in the next step where you have to alter stuff, you actually, like the first step is changing these dimensions here, like the values of what E is. So E instead of being 41 will become 35. D will become like 125. And as soon as you update that, your whole model will update as a result. And so that's really useful. And I'm going to show you some even cooler things. Like next week, I've actually got some really cool stuff. It's going to be a bit over your head, but if you walk away with any of it, you're going to be pretty sick at SolidWorks. So, okay. So I assume we've got like this super fun thing going now. If we don't have the super fun thing, let me know or forever hold your peace. Okay, I think we've all got the super fun thing. Fantastic. So I'm going to just save this real quick because this next phase, you're definitely going to want it saved just in case. I don't even know what this is called. I'm calling it fun thing, UT BIOME. So like, if you want to call it fun thing, you're more than welcome to. So once you've saved it, just for the sake of like making our, actually no, I'll make our lives easier. Okay, so if you close the part that we were designing earlier, the UT BIOME keychain, well, it hasn't left us. So if you go to the very top, you go like, SolidWorks will automatically hide this part just so it's like less cluttery. But if you go to the top, you go File, Open. There's also, I believe, Open Recent, which might save you some time. File, Open Recent, and then UT BIOME keychain. Whatever way you want to do it, you're more than welcome to. Like, this isn't that finicky. Just make sure you get it open as well, because we're going to start making an assembly based off of this. Then I think we're going to do some fun graphic stuff just for like the last 15 minutes or something like that, last 20 minutes after we do this, unless this causes a lot of problems, which it might, because we're getting into assemblies. Okay.
I did something. Let me show you.
I'm concerned. Okay. I'll stop sharing my screen.
It's not that concerning, but I don't know how to fix it. So
Not a worry.
Terrifying.
Okay. Hit the icon to the left of the X.
This one?
Yes.
I just hit this button and that's what happened.
That's totally fair, because sometimes people try to work on two things at once. So if you hit the minimize, do that real quick. We want to make this one a maximum too. So like just maximize that. Yeah. Okay. So now go to the very bottom where SolidWorks is on your like computer. Yeah. And hover over it and see if it lets you pick your other part. Yeah, click on the keychain. Beautiful. Okay, that's all we needed. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, is there anybody who is just like a little behind here, needs some help? Wow, what an impressive group of 5. 4 now, because Tim had to go. Okay, exciting. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the keychain now. Wait, I didn't share my screen. I am going to share my screen now. I'm going to go to the keychain now again. And so I've got a bunch of annoying things from Zoom that are in the way. So I'm going to go File. Okay, at the very top, you're going to have this keychain open, not the fun thing, but the keychain. And we're going to go File, Make Assembly from Part. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. I might go back and, okay, another way you could do it is just go File, New, and then click Assembly instead. We're going to do it this way because it's like a little bit faster. So File, Make Assembly from Part. Okay, don't start clicking stuff yet. This is a very delicate process, okay? Very delicate. This is where everything goes wrong. Okay, so if you look, because we have 2 things open right now, it'll show both the fun thing as well as our keychain. Okay, so this is very important. So what I could possibly do is I could go out onto my screen. Okay, my computer's a little too slow to do it, but like, moral of the story is you're just going to click UT BIOME keychain. It's going to be blue. Then you're going to hit the check mark. And you're going to have the UT BIOME keychain. And I'll explain why that's important in a second. I just need to make sure that you're not dragging it onto the screen. You're not doing anything like that. You're just clicking it once. You're hitting the check mark. Okay, fantastic. So basically what has just occurred is the UT BIOME keychain has been locked in place in this new assembly. So no matter what, I can't move it around. And that was the importance of not dragging and dropping it in. because I'm going to show you right now what happens when you drag and drop something in. So if we go to the very top of assembly, click Insert Components. So now we can go to the fun thing. If I click it, okay, if I don't do what I'm about to do. So if I don't go to my screen and move stuff around, notice where the fun thing has been placed. The fun thing has been placed with the same center locked into place that cannot be moved. That's why this part is really delicate. So instead, I'm not holding down anything. I literally just clicked it once and I moved my mouse out here and it just follows it. I'm not holding down my left key or my left click, anything like that. So I'm just going to drag it out here, and it doesn't matter where you place it. Ideally, like, don't just like place it over top of your model, just like place it off to the side and left click and you'll be done. It'll bring you like back into the part. And this time, make sure that if you grab this, you can drag it. But if you try to grab the other one, it is locked in place. So fun thing should move. Funt thing should not move. Okay, so just let me know if that is indeed the case. If that is not the case, it is important we resolve that now, because the next step you will not be able to do.
Okay. So I did what you did with the left click.
What'd you break?
No, nothing broke, I promise. But how do you move it? Like, what do you click to
I'm
move?
left clicking. I'm just left clicking and dragging around. Your mouse might not have left click because you're on.
No, I can left click too.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. Some old technology. Okay. This shouldn't move. This should move. It sounds like everybody's in a fantastic spot, which is really exciting. Okay. So now we're going to use the mate feature. So like, it's the paperclip icon. The whole concept is it's glue. So like, if you watch the preview video here, which they just added in SolidWorks 2020, you can kind of understand what I mean. It's the glue. It'll make much more sense in a second. So I'm going to take the mate feature. It's going to open up this like horrible menu, which is really useful. So I guess I can't say horrible. And I'm going to click a couple things. Every time I click two things, it'll be like, okay, is this what you want? And then I'm going to say yes. So just like watch me, and then I will do it a second time just to show you. So the very first thing I want to do is I want this circle here, this cylinder, to be inside here. Boom. Look at that. I didn't have to do anything special. It's like now you could move it. If I left click and hold down, I can move this up and down, and you can see where it's been constrained. So now no matter what, I can't move it side to side. I can only move it up and down and like rotate it. And so the cool thing about keychains is it's totally fine that we can rotate this. So there's only one more mate we need to apply. So how about you guys do that mate super quickly? You're just going to go to the mate, click the outside face of this cylinder on the fun thing, and then on the not so fun thing, click the inside of the hole.
That looks cool.
Okay, fantastic.
When I do that, it gives me the option to lock rotation.
Oh, interesting. You don't want to lock rotation, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It didn't give me the option, so I'm kind of intrigued that it did. That could be really useful at times. Were you able to get it, Hannah? Okay, fantastic. Say for you,
Yes.
Are you caught up?
Yeah, so I've got mine in the like keychain, I guess.
Okay.
Not too sure if I can move it around though. Maybe like locked in.
Okay. Are they both locked in? So like,
Let's see.
click on this and try to move it. The UT BIOME part, click on that first and try to move it.
Okay, so that one's locked in. Oh, actually, I can move the like
Fun thing? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's perfect. That's just what you want. Okay, so now you're going to go to assembly at the top left, like where our features used to be. And we're going to go over to mate, which is like a paperclip icon.
Okay.
So now you're going to click the cylinder on the fun thing, like the outer face of the cylinder on the fun thing.
Oh yeah, I got that in into the keychain.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so you're ready for the next step. I won't bother that anymore. Okay, so this is going to be a little difficult for you and Khadija, only because there are some faces that are really easy for us normal mouse users to select that are going to be very difficult for you advanced mouse users to select. It's like you're actually going to want to use this rotation. So like you're going to have to get a little creative. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to be able to do it, and it'll just take a little longer. Okay, so we're going to go to mates. we're gonna go down. So like there are standard mates. This is like the stuff you use like 9.5 out of 10 times, but we're advanced here. So we're gonna click advanced mates. And so it's gonna open a whole new menu. Okay, so these are all the advanced mates. I'm not gonna explain them all, but like some of them are pretty cool. Like the path mate. If you have a path, it'll be mated to the path. It'll move along the path. So like say we only wanted this to like have a path that it can only go this far around, because you're gonna notice it can intersect your model. I'm not gonna teach you how to do that, but it can be done. Okay, so now we're going to apply something called a width mate. So make sure you click the width mate. And so what's going to happen is you're going to notice that instead of just having a blue section of things you can select, there's now a blue and a purple section of things you can select. So you go mates, advanced mates, then click the width mate.
I don't see the advanced mates option.
If you scroll down, is it there? It should just be like a small menu.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just was pandering to people who have mice with scroll wheels and can actually scroll. So I'm sorry. But okay, fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to apply the width mate. So the width mate is, you have a lot of control with it. So I'm going to just show you what happens, because the best way to understand what's going on is to see it. So just like pay close attention while I do this. So there are a few different ways you could do this, but the key is you're selecting pairs of faces. And so the first pair of face I'm going to select is this one. I'm going to use my handy dandy scroll wheel, go underneath, and I'm going to select this one. So that's one pair of faces. So the other pair of faces I'm going to select is this one and this one. And it's going to place it directly in the middle. So these two faces are going to be like equidistant to these two faces. And so realistically, that is not what's going to happen when you put this together, because things slide. But for the sake of teaching you the width mate, I wanted to show you that. So I'm just going to hit X. And now if I rotate it, I can't bring it up and down. I can't move it anywhere else except for like around. But you can put it inside. But we're not going to go over that. I could teach you how to resolve that, but like it's minor, it's visual. Realistically, you're not going to like 3D print this and it's going to like all of a sudden be doing this. Okay. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to delete the width mate, and I'm going to show you how to do it one more time. I might even select different faces. Doesn't matter the order of the faces. So I go mate, advanced mates, width mates. I'm clicking different faces this time because I'm crazy. So I'm going to click this one and this one. And then they just have to be good pairs that like it makes sense with, if you understand what it's kind of going for. And click those, and boom, the width mate is applied, and we're completely done with this assembly. So because we have some time left, if you're able to do that within a reasonable amount of time, we can make this fancy. Just let me know if anybody's unable to do the width mate or can't really figure it out. And I'll try not to give you too hard of a time.
Things, but hopefully it'll work out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult on the touchpad to kind of rotate. So like, I totally understand.
Safe, I use the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard and it helped.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks. I think we got it.
Fantastic. That actually makes me excited. I'm glad you guys are like really speeding up. This is excellent. Like we're going to be able to go a lot faster next time around.
Unless we've forgotten like half of everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we remember everything.
I think we should be okay.
I think we should as well. Okay, fantastic. And you can always go back and like check stuff out. Okay, so now this is like not in the material, at least not in today's material. I don't think it's like going to be in next week's either, because this is more like a visual learning experience. Okay, so like for us visual learners who like very nice models, we're going to explore for a bit. Okay, So I'm going to show you a few different things within 15 minutes. It's going to be kind of fast, but like just kind of fool around. Don't do exactly what I'm doing because I'm going to just like show you a ton of stuff and it's going to be a mess. Okay. So at the very top here, you can go all the way over to this like really cool, colorful icon. Once I go to the cool, colorful icon, I can click Open Appearance Library, which gives us like this whole other new unique menu. This is where things get very colorful. So I can go to Appearances, and I can then, let's just make sure you guys get to that menu. So like at the very top, once again, you're gonna have this stuff here. Like you can click these little arrows to move over a bit. You wanna click this like ball that has multiple colors, like important colors that are like cool to look at. You're gonna click Open Appearance Library. And then you're going to adjust, you're just gonna like look at what your options are at the top. So like you're gonna click color. I'm gonna like go, okay, what's like something cool? I'm gonna make mine out of like thick gloss glass. So I'm gonna click this like green color. I'm gonna drag it over to my model. This is important here. You gotta go slowly. Otherwise, like you can't select exactly what you want colored. So do I just want the face that I selected colored? Do I want this selected? Do I want the whole body? Do I want the whole part? So I want the whole part to be made out of glass. I just realized that there is a critical design error that I made.
Your keychain will break so easily.
And I don't know where O is going to be. The O is just kind of hanging out. So like that, I don't really know what I was thinking there, but it is what it is. It's just going to be a big circle. Okay, cool. So yeah. Another way that you can, okay, one.
Did you like cut it all the way through?
I did cut it all the way through. So you can kind of see where the O is going to be a problem. Okay, so like I'm going back to this menu. You can also access this menu from the right side of your screen here. You just got to, wherever you find the colorful ball, you can make things colorful. So like, because I'm trying to get creative here, I'm going to go into the organics and I'm actually going to make my fun thing out of water. And so if I go and I hover over for a sec and I make the part, click the part. So now this is water and glass. Kind of interesting. So like you can basically go through all this stuff like liquid. I'm making this out of milk. So the rest of my model is made of milk while that part's made of water. Maybe I want like orange juice and milk instead of water. Like a God-given combo. That's an option. Maybe you want gasoline. Who knows, right? We're engineers here. You never know when you're going to need gasoline. You go into miscellaneous. There's like 3D textured stuff. Studio materials. So there's like a lot of options. Like wood floor. Dark room floor. Okay, but I'm going to show you something really cool. This is like where things get even crazier. And like our model just kind of like becomes real. So in this menu here, I'm just going to scroll down a bit. In this menu here, there's like appearances, color, and scenes. So this is where things get a little crazy. So there are some scenes that come with SolidWorks, or you can make your own scene by like importing it. And so what a scene is, you can bring your keychain to the park. And like you can like move it around. Like maybe like for some reason my keychain is like in the air. Like maybe you want to go backgrounds. Maybe it's in a parking lot. This is an industrial factory which makes UT BIOME keychains. And somebody dropped theirs on the ground. There's like more basic stuff. We're not going to touch basic stuff because that's just short form for boring. Traffic lights, what? Okay, kind of lame. Grill lighting, interesting. Like the whole point is like, if you like are trying to make a presentation, you can actually render this stuff to look really good. Like for some reason, it makes sense for it to be here. And so I'm going to show you one more like really advanced thing. I mean, I guess this isn't really advanced, but I'm going to show you a couple more things. We got enough time. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to like the part area that we had on the left side before. Under the part area, I'm going to go to, what was it? Oh, okay, it's kind of a pain to actually do it in here. Okay, so like if I click on this part, let me just think about if it's even worth showing you. I'll show this next week, but all I was going to show you is like how to actually change the material of your parts. Like here, we're only changing like the visible properties, but there are actual like proper material properties assigned to everything in SolidWorks. So like if I just went back to the keychain, for example, the stuff I did actually transferred over. So this is still milk or whatever I made it. So if I go to material here, where it's not specified, I go edit material. I can then go through like a list of like normal people materials. And then I can see like what the properties of each of these materials are. So like, say this is cool. I can be like, hey, like I care about these numbers because like I took classes that make me care about them. And then these properties are then added to the model. And then when you do proper simulations in SolidWorks, it'll use those materials as like the information. So like when I was showing you that CSWP practice exam, they had a specific material that you have to set it to, because when you go and you try to figure out what like the weight is. So like if you go, we haven't touched this tab yet. I'll go over this next week. This is the evaluate tab. So this doesn't like model or change anything in your model, but you can go over to mass properties, and I can now figure out how heavy my milk is, if it's still milk. Actually, it's not, because like I didn't set a material, but like if I make it milk or I make it whatever, this is where you find all the information. So like I can figure out how heavy my milk is. I can figure out like the surface area of my milk or the volume of my milk, which could be really useful. It'll give you like the center of mass and stuff like that. So like a lot of really useful information at your fingertips. You just have to set like the material so it's like actually accurate. Okay, so I'll go back to like my milk mayhem. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna do something. I don't know if my computer's gonna die. If my computer dies, that is the end of our class for today. If it doesn't die, then you get to learn something really cool. But my computer is not designed to be able to do this. So like this isn't everything SolidWorks has to offer, which is kind of crazy. So like if I right click, okay, actually our SolidWorks doesn't have all that many things to offer us. I guess because it's a student edition. The one that you have, actually no, this is, give me a second. Let me just check. Okay, because like, just want to make sure that this is still, because I haven't like fooled around with the SolidWorks enough, like this specific one. Okay, this is whack. What did I just do? Okay, I know what I just did, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm gonna go to tabs here, because the main thing I wanted to open up render tools, which are right here. So like I will go over this again in the future, probably, maybe, because like renders are really fun. So tabs, render tools, this will actually be really useful to you. So once again, I'll just like walk through that one more time. So I went like right clicked. Now I know why there weren't so many things open. Let me show you something like crazy. So if I go just to the part, if I right click, I go to tabs, this is all the different things I could add to SolidWorks here. So you can't add them in the assembly because it doesn't really matter in the assembly. But like if you're working with sheet metal, I can add a sheet metal tab. And so now one of these somewhere, oh, sheet metal, here it is, sheet metal. So these are all features specifically for sheet metal. It's like I took a class in sheet metal specifically. I know nothing about sheet metal, so I don't know why I did it. There are weldments. For some reason you like welding, weldments is for you. Maybe you like surfaces. So this is like one of the more advanced ones. So surfaces is really good for making super organic things. But as you notice, like instead of extruding like we normally would, you would do everything with surfaces, and it's very complicated. So like they are completely new and unique tools. So I'm gonna go back to our like beautiful scenery. I don't know how this is gonna turn out because there's like certain things I normally try to set up properly. I go to tabs. I added the render tools in. So I'm gonna go to render tools, and so like render tools requires a few things. So I'm first gonna go to evaluate. I made my screen very messy. Give me a second just to find. Here it is. Okay, so you go to SolidWorks add-ins actually. You click Photo View 360. SolidWorks may change this so that this isn't a necessity, which I'm kind of like sensing is the case. Okay. So once that is on, so PhotoView 360 is like, basically like I can semi-render a picture of this that is like really high graphics, but not like to the full extent, and like view it very easily with PhotoView 360. But like we're not going to go into that because my computer can't actually handle it, and I doubt yours can as well. So let me see if I just want to, okay, no, it is still necessary. So the first thing you go to the add-ins, you click PhotoView 360. You then go to Render Tools. Under Render Tools, you're going to see this option called Final Render. First, I'm going to click Render Region. And so we're basically like making a really high quality picture of this. And so I'm just going to change like the region for which I want this picture to actually be conducted in. So I want this all to be in my picture. So then I'm going to click on Final Render. And so there's like stuff you could do to like properly set it up. We're not going to. I'm just going to go continue without camera or perspective. This is like if you're getting really fancy and you're like trying to like really advertise what you're trying to create. We're just trying to make a silly photo here of milk and orange juice. So it is currently going to render. This is where my computer may completely die. Okay. Settings are kind of like low quality by default. Okay, so this here is PhotoView 360. So things are going to get very slow very quickly. Just so you know, like I can't see anything yet either. So there's a decent chance we don't get to see anything. It might be up to you like exploring and like walking through the steps. Okay, stuff is going on. So like I've spent a lot of hours just watching this little icon move around. It's very satisfying. And so like they're like your little friends that go and like scoot around your picture and like clean it up pixel by pixel until you got like a full render. So like the reason the size is so small is because I didn't go into the settings and like make sure stuff is done proper. So like if you're really into the pictures, I just kind of want to show, because like when you finish your project realistically, like this year, you're going to want to be able to make a really nice picture. Look at this, like look at how gorgeous this is. Sorry, my computer's still dying. Look at this, like that's what milk would look like if it's really bad. That's what orange juice would look like if it was made into a keychain. And then you can hang out with it at the bridge. So I thought that would be pretty fun. I hope you guys thought that was pretty fun. But yes, like you could make some really high quality pictures and put them into like specific scenery or specific scenarios. So like, let me see if I can find this picture. What would it have been called? I'm gonna have some horrible pictures here. They're not my fault, I promise. Please ignore.
Are those Teletubbies?
Yeah, this was for a class earlier this week. You can ignore that. I made a really nice render. Maybe I gotta find the document. It will be found though. I'm just going picture by picture. So like you have enough time to go picture by picture if you really wanted to. Did I make a folder? Let's try documents. Oh, this is some garbage. Yeah, I got no clue. I'm really sorry. It looked really cool. I could probably find the document and show it to you next week. But basically, like I set a custom background, and it was actually something medical themed. So like that's why I wanted to show it. I totally forgot I had done it. So like that's why I didn't really prepare. But it was medical themed, and it was kind of cool. Let me just look at what my folders are. Like pathetic. Okay, I'm gonna try one more thing. Just gonna like, I'm gonna go into Docs because I know it's in Google Doc. Okay. I don't know what documents are here. Just give me a second, please. Maybe here. It's worth it if you could like. It's garbage. It's not it. It's in like a final document for this stupid assignment. And I was very proud of it. It's like my big contribution. It was just a horrible render.
That was horrible.
It's horribly good. I don't know what these documents are.
Okay, show us
It's got to be in here. It's got to be in here. It's got to be in here. If you do have to go, I can forgive you, but no, that's not it. This is pathetic. It looked just like this. I basically modeled this stupid thing here. I'll find it. No.
Ooh.
Yes, this is it. This is it. It looks kind of horrible, but like this was my initial render. How do I zoom in? It's like control scroll. Yeah. Okay, so this is like, I modeled this in SolidWorks to like mimic that thing I just had showed you. Up. Pathetic slow computer. Oh my goodness. Okay, give me a second. I gotta close some SolidWorks. Okay, if my computer dies while closing stuff, that's like even more pathetic. Okay. Ignore the heart. Like, I realize you guys like hearts and stuff, but like I prefer to keep mine inside me and like not look at it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so like I rendered this using SolidWorks, exactly the same thing I just showed you. Like set some materials, set some colors. I imported a picture. So there is another thing in SolidWorks, like under the appearance section, which is called decals. And so you can like import a picture and like stick it right on a face and like orient it, purely just graphical. So I did that here. I believe I modeled this tubing as well, and then just like set it to be clear. And then this is terrified to look at, I realize, except for you're probably like, wow, so cool. So it looks like very out of place. That's because I couldn't be bothered to make it look very in place. But I just like made this the background, kind of like the dirt areas or like the factory. And then I repositioned my model until it looked as if it was like in action and actually being used there.
Mm.
And so like I just kind of forced it to work. And so you can make it so it looks a lot nicer. Like, actually, you know what I did? I didn't even render it. That's why it looks so messy. I literally screenshotted my screen because I couldn't be bothered. I was like very frustrated. It was late at night and I just screenshotted it. But like here, this is what it would have looked like. It would have like been this quality. Then it would have been on top of here. It would have been like, wow, that's gorgeous. But no, I couldn't have done that. Okay, fantastic. I'm glad I was able to share that just in time. Okay then. Well, we accomplished some very big things today. You can now say that you know how to use SolidWorks when applying for a job. You may be terrified when they actually like show you what it means to like know SolidWorks, because they're like, hey, I want you to design this engine, and you say, look at keychain. But these are the building blocks, and next week we'll continue. So I hope all of you can come, and we will take this all a step further. I'll show you a lot more really cool things. You guys still have the slides. So like if you really wanted to be a keener, you could like fool around with the models we made and like add some stuff or change some stuff. One recommendation is something cool that you could do is you go back to this model here, and just like how we did the fillets here, you go back here and you make fillets like in here, and like do also, I'll show you it next week, but like if you really want to like have some fun, you can like pick these corners, cut some material away, and make it look really, really nice. Yeah, I won't even show you right now. Otherwise, like I have a lot more material, like just in case, like I was kind of concerned that like you would all be advanced. You're very skilled still, very talented. You picked up very quickly, but there's always the risk of people being very advanced. So I've got some other cool stuff that I'm just going to probably blitz through next week. I'm really not sure. It is pretty important stuff, but like the other stuff that we would have gotten to today if we like went faster is like something called a sweep, which like lets us make cool stuff like this. And then also like rotating stuff and like splines and like making a water bottle. So we'll probably still do this because these are very basic things, and I think they're important fundamentals. So I'll probably just like save that for next week, and we'll just like pick up where we left off on this presentation. Then I'll have some more new stuff for us to do and just kind of explore. Okay. So like I appreciate you all sticking through for 4 hours, because like 4 hours is a long time, and I don't know if I could have done it if I was in your position. So like thank you, and I hope that like this was informative. I think that's the word. And if you have any questions because you're like actually working on stuff or like have anything interesting, like I am happy to help or like answer and like troubleshoot basic stuff, because it's very easy to like get caught up while working and like get stuck in something that's like super easy to resolve. But like the more you do stuff, the more you'll kind of be aware of like what possible mistakes you could make and like what to avoid and whatnot. So I guess that's it for today. That's all that I've got. If you want to spend some time like after class, just like trying to render some stuff, you can totally do that. Like the process one.